interested Michigan people. It's the My People Podcast Show.
All right, welcome to My People Podcast, the 2026 version. We're in a new year. It's a new season of the podcast, and we're going to kick it off the same way we did the last one with one of my favorite people, my cousin, Tony Lamentola.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks for inviting me back out. I appreciate still being on the list.
Oh, you're numero uno, man. I told you you'd be back out. We had a long history of podcasting together, and we always had the best conversations.
Heck yeah. I think it was probably almost exactly a year ago since the last time I was here. I came in here limping from my karate kick that I gave my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do even better this time now that I'm not on paid meds. So.
Yeah, I think the last episode went up in January 6th or something. So it's exactly a year. Here we are, same studio, different, a little bit different setup. But
yeah, looking nice, little upgrades, those nice small changes that really, actually, and they're not really that small. They actually are pretty nice.
Yeah, new wall behind me. I think before we were able to, cameras a little bit further, a little bit better lighting. We're tweaking. We're constantly upgrading.
I like it. This is a nice play man cave too, where you get out here and just get to put all your skills to work, right?
Yeah, I'm still working on my golf skills, but the other skills.
Yeah.
And plus hosting is fun. I had a great time over break. Shane came over with Kyle. We played golf. We hung out, put one on, and my buddy was over here. We did the same thing. So it's nice to host people, be as loud as you want. I feel like, and Marla likes her piece in the house. So the fact that we're not up in that studio and slamming doors and being rowdy in there, I think you always gotta have, it's like a clubhouse. That's how I look at it.
When you have golf involved, I know we're all a little bit older now, so maybe this is less expected, but do you have one specific friend that starts to lose their shit a little bit sooner than everybody?
When they play golf?
Yeah, because I feel like it's probably mine's more I get more quiet and kind of beat myself up and shit, but then I know that there's certain people too that just do you have your one friend that?
So we were actually talking about this because my one buddy I golf with, he has a friend, he's like, yeah, I bring him golfing with us, but sometimes he gets really mad. And then because us, we're if I'm playing bad, I'm just it's a process. I know I'm getting better, especially having the simulator. It's I haven't locked in my grip, I'm not constantly changing things. So I'm just I'm playing the long game. I'm trying to really make sure I'm doing everything right. And then as I get older, I'll lock that in and I'll be in a really good place, So I just accept it. I'm not getting off the tee box. There's no reason I shouldn't be getting off the tee box, but I'm just I'm still out here. I'm having a great time. And I just kind of I just try to focus on the other positives of the experience versus playing good. I think we all, the guys I play with, Shane and Kyle, they're both the same. They're just kind of some bad hits will be oh damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
But out of that group, Shane would probably be the one that's most likely to be God damn it, man, what the,
Yeah.
But he'll usually keep his spirits good enough to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
My spirits stay in that way too. But it's so nice. I don't think we even realize what a luxury it is sometimes to give ourselves that little bit of a break. Because there's certain things I do that with. If there's things that I feel I can put time in and go hey, you have good ones, you have bad ones, or whatever, just keep at it or whatever. Golf is this different thing where I have so many conversations with God about it, and I'm just what's going on here, dude?
I remember when you found the Jesus ball, and then you did really well for 3 hits.
That's what I'm saying.
I actually did see you visually upset when you lost that ball because you're I was going to take that to the promised land,
dude. Yeah, exactly. I was going to go on tour with that boy. I've never knocked this boy into the woods. Because it all turned around right at that Jesus ball too, right?
Me and Jesus are taking my game to the next level.
That's what I'm saying. But then
it.
and that was my one. That was my moment. That was my.
I think you had it for 3 holes, and you did really well those 3 holes. Have you looked into buying a whole package of Jesus balls?
Oh man!
And is it wrong to hit Jesus with your club?
Well, I wasn't gonna say hit Jesus with a club was as bad of a thing as it was kind of just being all right, I'm gonna use Jesus to make my golf game good. But that's also kind of what I was doing, because remember we were laughing because how many times I always try to. I don't know if we're allowed to talk about religion and stuff on this one or whatever. But, since becoming religious and finding God or whatever, I always want to do a soft open for people, hey, I don't want to make people feel uncomfortable or feel I'm selling somebody on something, but also in my own try to on my own dry humor, try to introduce it, right? So in golf, that's one where I'm always I'll be like I think that day that we golfed or whatever, I think I was telling Alan or whatever, I'm like, hey, will you go to church with me if I hit a hole in one right now? You know what I'm saying? Like just to get like people's juices going, right? Where they're
You're
just
still
like,
trying to do the work, even though
Yeah.
we're all on a leisure outing, you know.
but I'm also kind of setting God up here, you know, where I'm like, hey,
I'm giving you a layup. I'm trying to like
Yeah.
give you an assist here.
dude, you want people to come to church. I did
Yeah.
my part. I want to be good at golf.
I gave
Like,
you an alley oop. All you had to do was dunk it.
Yeah. How hard would it be to make the ball go in the hole? Give me my one. Well, I mean,
Right.
and I'd be giving you followers back.
I feel like when I was younger and like, you know, and was really wrestling with like religion, it was like I would do that a lot myself and be like, show me something. You know, like you're just like looking for it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think too, you know, like obviously that's not, you know, there's other things going on
Right.
besides my golf game, you know, but like I also do think too that, you know, again, the only failure or whatever is like, oh, a soft open or whatever, where, because again, like I did not get a hole in one in that hole or whatever, but it was my best shot of the day. And they're like, you know, like,
Right.
just to get people a little bit like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Or even just to start a conversation about church or whatever, you know, it's dropping those funny little,
Yeah.
you know.
I feel like, you know, I know when you're younger, you're pretty religious and kind of maybe got away from it a little bit and back. But I feel like everything we've ever talked about, every time we talk in some way, religion or creation or like the bigger, you know, current that guides us all kind of comes into the conversation, because you always feel that. It's just like, oh, do I name it? Do I want to name it?
Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always recognized it, and you know, I know I'm lost if I'm not feeling some kind of pull or like, you know, that I'm not in the current going where I'm supposed to be going. You know?
We've always had a feeling that we've been part of something bigger, right?
Right.
It's like, okay, there's obviously a lot more going on, you know.
I think everybody's similar in that way, you know, and they just, you know, they don't want to do the work of like, I got to go to this building every Sunday, you know, or I'm going to go here, or like, do I want to like narrow it down, this thing that seems so much, you know.
Yeah. And it's so hard too, because like we think we know things, right? Because like, okay, we only have, you know, the rules that we've learned about how to make sense of this whole thing. And then like, you know, we'll make these like fast judgments about things, you know, like, okay, like somebody somebody gets sick and they're just like, oh yeah, you know, like I put maple leaves and taproot and whatever and made a paste and put it on my eyebrows or whatever. You're just like, what the hell? You know, like take medicine, you weirdo or whatever. But then you're just like, what was medicine before? You know, and it's like all these little things that like have benefits that people have figured out a long time ago. Like even like, okay, like things like crystals. And we're like, okay, duh, like that is so foo-foo. Don't even get me on the crystal thing. But then when you're just like, when you hear from the smartest people on the subject of what we are, and they're like, yeah, we're all waves.
Vibrations and crystals.
And
radios used to have crystals in them to tune to the stations. Like they used crystals.
So is it impossible?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or a certain crystal has to hold certain energy or to do. It's like, no, it's not as foo-foo as you thought it was.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And there's sometimes I can be on the same diet, getting the same amount of sunlight, you know, doing the same sort of routines, and then just out of nowhere, like again, we talk about this all the time, where like our routine's gone, or like something's different, you know, like a different something, you know, and I'm like, there are like, and then a lot of times I find it so funny, you know, because it's like I find like I'm synced up a lot of times with like friends and family, where it's just like, oh man, I've been in kind of a spiral lately with like bad eating and just like whatever, and I'm like, when did you start? Like since March 11th or whatever, you know, and it's like sometimes
when the planets did that fucking weird shit where they did that alignment. That's when. It's probably something like that. That's just like everybody's like, I'm lazy today.
My whole, you know, I think for a lot of my life, I've kind of been like, I don't know, more quiet, and I've just been like more as I've been getting older, just like, okay, I really want to get to know everything about everybody that I know, and just like being more vulnerable.
Right.
And I think opening these conversations, there's a lot more times where I might be having conversations I wouldn't normally have, and finding out that people are in the exact same thing at the exact same time as me. And again, my analytical mind, I'm like putting together the patterns or whatever, like where I'm like, dang, dude, like we are like, it's like a wave sometimes of like, you know, like almost as sometimes as like a friend group, and sometimes it's like a country of momentum that we have, where we're like, oh, we all feel this way, like, or even after an election, or like what party you're on. And it's like, it's kind of weird how we can all get synced up, you know, at different times.
Well, it's like, you know, just like vibrations, like, you know, there's a shared vibe. You walk into a room and everybody's having a good time. You're listening to some great music or something like that. Everybody's on the same vibe and energy, and you'll ride it out. You'll be like, oh, you know, or like I think I've talked to you about this,
Good
but like you go to a
vibration.
festival, and like if you've ever been to a festival, a lot of people are on drugs or whatever, you know, and like, but you'll hear a stage open up and people start playing, and that's like an energy, and you know you can tell that everybody's kind of just not zombied out, but they're just going where the energy's good. Sometimes good energy busts out in the middle of the street in between the stages. Somebody starts doing something, and then everybody's having fun, and then that becomes like a magnetic thing, you know.
It's like actual feeling.
And that's
to
all.
it,
Like,
right?
sometimes I think like that's all this creation is like, you know, we put these people in wood rooms and call them the authority and the rules of a country or whatever, and we're like, sure, this democracy thing sounds great, let's do that. The vibe seems good over here, and enough people did it where now we have a democracy, constitutional democracy, you know. And like that's all it is just like the right people selling it, making the vibe, enough people go with it, now you got a country, now you got a town, or you got this, you know. And it's, you know, a lot of like nowadays I just see like a lot of, you know, we complain about stuff, and I'm like, well, who's going to come up with something better? You know, we're going to complain about data centers going in, and it's like, because you don't think you're going to profit. Well, why don't you make a local fund or do a millage for your township and make a fund, and then lease the land, fast track approvals for data centers. Now you're part of a fund that makes money.
I know.
But instead of just complaining, like I don't know the logistics of something like that completely.
Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that later, but there's this like really cool post-economic thing that this Dave Shapiro guy talks about.
Yeah.
But at least that's like, it resonates with me, because like this is an answer versus just complaining about the vibe or complaining about the situation.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If there's not an alternate.
Like it's all malleable. We all have the power to change it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the, you know, the AI, right? Like the farming thing, like you brought up, you know, like to me, I've been really interested in that lately, because I'm like, we're at this weird point. Again, it really just is almost like, it really shines a magnifying glass on like where we are with it in general, because we're like, okay, it's here. Like we're looking down at the face. Do we want to put it in our backyards, right? And it's something that's like, we know, again, it's where a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, right? And so it's like, for me, it was one of those things where I'm like, hey, they want to put one of the biggest data centers like in the nation, like by us, like that's got to be jobs, right? You know, like I don't know what the involvement is or like how much maintenance or whatever that is, but I'm like, take what you can get, you know? And then I'm like, and really, if we make the AI really good, all we have to do is just ask the AI to solve it. Be like, all right, how do we solve this water thing you're doing? They're like, it'll just figure it out for us.
Right.
So it's like, you know, it's only going to be so much longer before all these like petty human problems are going to be solved. But the problem is like, what is the human story after that, right? Where you're like, you know.
Well, I do understand like people, like the powerlessness that the people feel like in those communities, because it's like, because you also know what happens too. Say, so the electrical company has to supply more power for the data centers. Well, to build that infrastructure, are they going to take out a loan? And probably not. They're going to up your power price for your utilities, and then when they up the price, they never go down, because you've been paying it. Everybody's been paying it. So why go back? Like the COVID prices went up, never came back down for things. So so I understand, like, and you do feel powerless unless you're paying attention. But even like local governments, it's like we're not really keeping tabs on what's going on in townships and cities. You know, like they don't really record them. Sometimes they record them. Sometimes the meeting notes go up. Sometimes they don't. There's nobody who's like filtering them and then like sharing like, this is what's going on, we should be paying attention or not, you know. And now more than ever, I think you kind of, you know, we got to start all kind of tending to that garden we can touch, you know, because it is going to get crazier, you know, unless you do have, I mean, you think about stuff, I've been thinking about a lot with that whole Somalians and, you know, in Minnesota thing, and I'm like, basically all that was a group of people who pooled their resources, bought politicians, because you don't get away with stuff like that unless you know, have greased some wheels, paid some people, promised some votes or whatever, you know. And we've known that forever, that our politicians are bought and paid for, and they know where the money is. You put in the coin, and, you know, the horse starts moving, you know. So it's like, we know the game, so instead of complaining about it, why don't we have a pool where we pool our money and buy our politicians to do stuff we want them to do, knowing that they're not just going to go do it because we elected them, you know.
I thought that, I mean, that's what you're hoping taxes are.
Yeah, you would think, but that's not going towards their campaigns. That's not going towards, you know,
oh man,
or helping them get reelected. So you know, it's just back to that. Are we going to complain about it? Are we going to step back, try to understand the game and play the game? You know, whether that's local investment funds or that's, you know, making just like restaurants. Restaurants get way overregulated by state. You know, entities like that, and it's insane. Like, you're crazy to own a restaurant. Like, you're not doing that to make money. You're doing it to because you care about community or your like group, or creating an atmosphere and a place for other people. So it's like the restaurants should have a very strong collective, within the state together, to donate money, send that money to Lansing to get these regulations kind of like, within reason, where you're not paying so much to provide a service to your community.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know enough about politics. Do they have groups of people? Is that what like super PACs and that sort of
That's
thing
kind of
is?
where that came from. Yeah,
Is it is there like a restaurants, where it's like not a union per se, but like, hey, we're a bunch of restaurants that have, again, when they do those, what are they, like those shows and stuff or whatever, it's like, again, networking with all those people, you could easily communicate where it's like, let's work together and pool money together and, like offer, so that we can have something that works in our favor instead of all the other industries, right? Because,
they show you the model of how to do it, basically.
Yeah, if oil and gas has the most money and they're pouring it, like they're going to be the ones that, like, you're going to see the most change in their favor, the quickest, because they're putting the money in.
Yeah. You would think that, I've been watching this like show called Titans, and first I watched one that was like the Titans of like moving pictures. It was so fascinating, like the history of moving pictures. And then there's one on Wall Street that I was watching. One of them I watched on I think one I watched on YouTube, the other one was Netflix. It was just fascinating to see how they came up, but they did the same thing. Eventually just like, hey, why don't we, pool up our resources? We can control certain things. This kind of shows you the roadmap. I can't remember where I was going with that, but you kind of see that they were doing it even early on, and it just kept picking up. But you would hope that like now with us having like AI and more access to information and history, and be able to just have a conversation with AI that's doing the research for us and say, how does this work? How does that work? Like that we was smart enough to be like the average person, or like lower industries, like local restaurants and stuff like that, could utilize the same models to influence governments and regulations that the big dogs have been doing for years.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I hope to see in the next, 5 years or so. And also AI just being able to bring some of that stuff to the surface that's going on with local governments and Lansing, and
the more people that understand the game, the more people are going to be able to play it, right?
Exactly. So there's no easier time than what's coming, I would think.
But the hard thing too is like what you always have to realize, like it is a game, right? And it's like the same thing where like if you go and you hop on a game right now that's been out for 2 years,
right?
They might see, hey, you want to come in with your strategy or whatever? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be hard to kind of break in because they've been doing it for so long.
Or they're
where
trying
it's
to
like,
squash you right away.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you put together this little restaurant thing, and you're like, I kind of want some of that pie from like oil and gas, and or from whatever sort of infrastructure, and you think those people aren't going to be like encroaching on our stuff, bro?
Yeah.
So
in the used car sales industry, I remember when I was younger, this is the first time I was ever introduced to that. I was like, wow, like they're guarding the industry. This guy was trying to get some used cars to sell, and because he was a stranger at the auction, and these dealers, because these dealers go in there and they'll take home 10 cars, with the car hauler, and they all know each other, so they won't outbid each other. They won't they'll kind of like, they hang out in the same circles. They probably golf together. They own big lots.
And some guy comes in with a mustache. He's just like, who's that?
He's like, I got a loan. I got a loan from a bank. I'm going to buy 5 cars today. And he's like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to get my mom a house. Like he's all excited. And then they're just like, they're outbidding him, paying way more than what they should be paying for the car. Yeah,
let's just
so that he doesn't
break
get
his
any.
Spirit.
Either he's going to overpay or he's not getting the vehicle. You know what I'm saying? And then after you do that 2 or 3 times, you're out. So it's like it's almost like, now who do you got to go golfing with, or whose ass you got to kiss to be able to walk in there and actually, you got to be somebody's nephew or something, to actually, for the gatekeepers to not squash you.
And that's everything, right? You're talking about used car sales.
Yeah.
I think it's not like that with most things, right? Most industries probably have that sort of thing going on, right?
Yeah. If you popped up and you did a strong restaurant, NGO or like some kind of group or whatever to lobby for restaurants or something, like, no doubt there would be
pushback, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of it would be the government entities because they're getting paid so much to regulate, for everything you have to have accepted, inspected, and all that. That's all money going from your pockets to government employees or government contractors.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I would just like to think, like it is possible to make change. I know that Elon, he was doing all that stuff, and he's like, basically it's unfixable. We're completely screwed. He's like, I'm hoping that we just have robots fix everything, or the coming couple of years, technology, AI will fix everything. But I don't think that in itself is going to make so much abundance that it won't matter that we have a system that is so badly ran. You know, like I think the AI and all that stuff has to help us actually monitor it and fix it and do what we're supposed to do based off the Constitution, which is keep your government in check.
At what point does something become like an autonomous thing that's like bigger than, you know, like government? Again, it's a thing where they bring people in every 4 years, 8 years. They're bringing a new person in. Like, who's sitting them down? You know, like, again, like we always have that conversation about, like, someone else has to, like, you got to get trained, right?
Well, you don't get up there unless you prove your loyalty, right? It's like the used car lot. Like, you don't get there unless you already proved you're loyal enough to, like, not throw a wrench in the gears. Yeah.
It's like, you know, when you see, like, birds flying, you know, in a flock, and they're all, like, making the exact same cut all at the same time or whatever, and you're just like, dude, how are you... You're working on a different time or whatever, but like it makes you wonder, like, okay, the one bird that's going like, no guys, this way or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right,
that's its own, like, no one bird is responsible for that movement, you know? It's like tuned into, like, it's become its own thing, you know? And it's almost like that's what a lot of these, you know, things have become, like big business now or whatever, like you know, like even like when you think about Walmart, like Walmart's almost like an entity, you know what I'm saying? Whereas like it's a thing, you know, like even if you were the CEO of Walmart, I would wonder how much power you had to like make a big change, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just like on its own trajectory. You're like with the way you have, you know, your stockholders and your different things, like it's a motion, you know, that you step into now.
You're going to be voted down or you're going to be killed. Yeah. You know, you're not going to be around no more if you try to push it too much. Back to your birth thing. Back when I was a Bernie supporter back in the day, I used to say, this is what democratic socialism is. It's basically like a flock of birds or a school of fish. Like you had to, you know, like I in my mind, it's just like, that's how I like cope with the idea. I was like, I mean, you look at the birds, you look at the fish and how they fly. Like they're flying as one, but they're together. So it's like kind of my argument back then. Like, you know, now I've kind of changed. I'm like, I don't think that's like, but that was kind of like my analogy for like that idea. Like in my utopian mind at that time of like, this is how it could work. Like we do need to move together as one thing, but with this free motion. Yeah. You know, like you see that it's not like, you know, every bird's not doing its own thing or what, you know, there is a united movement and it's almost like intuitive, like you said, like whether they're feeling the current or the wind or whatever it is, they want to stay together and they're flying as a flock, even though it looks messy and they're everywhere.
Sometimes it looks like a bed sheet, you know, flap, and then it goes with this, and it's like, how did they all know, you know, like know to just follow this pattern, you know? And it seems again like where the change sometimes are so sudden, where like they're all gonna just cut down and go to the right now, like
But if you think about it, we're probably the same way. Like look at how things trend, or how like the jokes, like a lot of like the whether it's a trending video or a topic or you know what shows are popular or not popular, right? We're all collectively determining, you know, where media and culture goes. So like in a way we kind of have the same uniting thing through our content and our media.
Like culture is our flock of birds.
Yeah. And then, you know, obviously there's like this divisive thing we have, which I don't even think is natural. I think that's the unnatural thing, this whole like left versus right, you know, like which we know as part of like dividing and conquering, you know, show the extremes of both, you know. Yeah. And then you can just take from the cookie jar all you want. They're not paying attention. They're pointing fingers at their neighbor. Yeah, you know, the left versus right thing. You know, once we usually start on politics, it's a vacuum. But it's just like, I just feel like lately, super just disappointed in politics in general. Where it's just like when you're looking now or whatever. And again, I think it's responsible for both sides when it happens to call it out or whatever. But like being conservatively valued and seeing like, there's just so many like posts and stuff by like, you know, our president that we voted for on specific, you know, like on specific days or whatever, you know, like, you know, to do things on Christmas, you know, and to, you know, like again, like the Rob Reiner dying thing or whatever, or Reiner, you know, like that, you know, like most, like a lot of people who have conservative values, they come from like Christian values too. Like, you are not acting like a Christian when you're doing things like that. And it just seems so petty and divisive. And I'm like, it's literally felt like repulsive to me lately. Like where I'm just like, I cannot stand the division. Like, you know, and again, like I want to know and keep up with. He was born from that. He rose from that division. That's why he's there, you know, because he said stuff like that. And then like people liked it because they were so divided. They lose track of that. Like you said, that touch with that Christian values and certain things, you know, and oh yeah, let them have it. Like, and if we don't get better at that, who knows what the next guy's gonna look like?
Yeah.
Like it's.
I'm appreciative for your freedom of speech. Like I understand that side of it, and I'm happy. Like I really did feel like we were like in a very vulnerable place as far as like what we could say, but
Right.
then it was just like, and I almost feel like it's almost like a stress test, right? They're like, okay, all right, freedom of speech is back. You can, like, oh, let's test it.
Now it's too heavy. Now
it's
everybody's running around saying,
right? They're like, I'm going to make sure that it works while I'm still here, right? I can say anything I want.
Dude,
and you're just like, maybe.
Dude, I've heard the word retard more in the last year than I've heard through all my like schooling years.
I know, right? It was a big word growing up, and
like,
even still, you're just like, ooh, now
we're free, retard.
We're like,
you.
no.
Like it's just like that word is just going around everywhere because it's just like the lowest bar word. So it's like we're free.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that. I'm just like, okay, yeah, we got our freedom back, but can we just relax a little bit?
Yeah.
Like let's not push it to the other extreme. Where we're unable to distinguish between racism and a joke or something, like.
Yeah, and I get, like, of course, both sides, like, man, for them to win, like, imagine when, like, I just did a little bit of talking crap to Connor when we were playing Madden the other day or whatever, and I'm like, I've talked crap to the point now where if I lose, I'm going to be real upset, where I'm like, dang, But imagine like when you win and you're in like this fight for your life and you got smear campaigns and people going after your families and like, again, not that they're not compensated, not that there's not something else going on. And, sometimes they're even in cahoots together or whatever, know, but also like, there's gotta be a feeling of like, like got you, like I won, like where you like almost want
and
to
then
like,
also change the game after that. It's like, okay, once you have the power in your hands or it's in your favor, right, to shape things, it's like now you got to be the grown up to keep it, like stay in the center, don't go to the other extreme. And that's like, I feel like me and you have always been kind of in the center. We've kind of switched parties, like throughout our lives, and I feel like there's a lot more people in the center than we think that are just kind of observing. They don't really love this, they don't love that, and those are the people who determine a lot of the elections. But we don't talk about them. We don't talk. The media doesn't talk to those people. There's not very, unless you're on a YouTube channel or something. That's the mainstream isn't talking like that. They're putting on the show. But speaking of the show, like, I was talking about that with somebody. I was like, it's just like wrestling. Like what we see in Washington in these wood rooms. Instead of going to a ring, they go to a wood room, but in the back, behind the walls. You hit me a little hard below the belt back there. Can you pull your punch a little bit next time? It's just a show. And people, they've talked about that a bunch of times when they're out there yelling at each other. It's to get clips to show like, look how fiery I am. Look how much I'm fighting for you. But really, they're not doing anything. Like they go out there, they pull their punches, they do their show, and then behind the scenes, they're all doing the same thing. They're taking money. They're doing stuff that would get any one of us fired at our jobs. Conflict of interest. Like it's just, and they blatantly getting away with it. Like they used to kind of hide it, but that's one thing they'll never call out. They never say, well, he took money from so-and-so, because do you want them looking at you, who you take money from and what you voted on? So that's why that's always like hush, hush. We don't need to talk about that. Let's talk about abortion. Let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about the divisive topics of the day that, only really mature people sitting down having discourse could actually even reach some kind of common ground on. Which is what they used to do back in the day. Debates, like presidential debates, would last days. They'd talk for 8 hours. And
about topics, right?
About topics, and people would pay attention to it. Now it's like sound bites and little tweets that take jabs. And that's why Trump rose up, because he was really good at just taking these little stupid jabs at people and saying stuff that people found entertaining. And there's no, like they say, there's no bad press. I think so. He could say something really terrible, and he's getting crazy views. His name's getting spun out there. Say something really great, and his name's getting out there. And
I think like what you said, it is like wrestling in the sense it's like they almost make it back to the back room and just like hug it out, because it's like, even in the sense where it's like, okay, if you and I are going against each other for president, and I have like a home run, like, man, and like you and I are going at each other, like you still benefit from being on the other side of that this time.
Right.
Because I was such an asshole. Can you believe the way, like,
whether you're playing the heel or the hero, you're getting your airtime.
Exactly. We're still going to be the main event. You know what I'm saying? So they're locking that up. So, like, even, like when it was like Trump and Hillary, like, oh, I'll send your ass to jail. Okay, yeah, you didn't, did you? Or, like, but I bet you, like, that helped Hiller a lot when he latched onto her like a pit bull and like, you know, was attacking her, because it was like, okay, these are our two,
and
you
it's
know,
just
like
a show.
exactly. It's like,
I feel like sometimes they were just like, hey, this is how the game's played, like, because he came out of nowhere, like, not, you know, like, and he also didn't have to do the whole like earning your place from coming up, you know, because a lot of times, you know, these star wrestlers, these star, you know, politicians that we see on our TV all the time, they've earned that time on the stage, you know, they sold their soul, they've done all kinds of crazy stuff, and then they prove their loyalty, then their party puts them up. Well, he was the guy who neither party wanted, you know, but one party couldn't snuff him out, you know, and he ended up in there. So I feel like he wasn't playing the game. They're like, you don't understand how the show goes, you're not supposed to really hit people.
Exactly.
He's out there like throw it, you know. And
because he did and broke the rules, he ended up becoming president for it.
It's like a mosh pit where like one guy goes out there, actually starts hitting people, and everyone's like, you know, we gotta take him out. He doesn't understand that what we're doing here. You're supposed to go crazy. We're supposed to look crazy. We're not actually supposed to hit people.
We all have our little circle where we do our thing, bro. Like,
and he's out here like thinking that this is a fight. So to get us off of politics, so I did have a couple. Well, I know you had a couple of things to bring up, just to like keep topics going for like. But I know I wrote down. Explain to me Metallica. We've always joked about this because I never got hooked on Metallica. And I know the other day we were talking, and you said like Connor was like, "What is up with him?" Because Connor's a big fan too, right?
Yeah. Man, where do I start? Like, okay.
I feel like half the people are like, Mike. I understand where Mike's coming from right now, and a lot of people, half the people are saying,
I think,
how could Mike not like Metallica?
No, I think you're very far off, bro. I think you and. I think 1% of people are like, yeah, finally. And then 99% of people who understand music and art, I think they're just like, duck, Metallica. Yeah. See, it's one of those things, too, that like when you're talking about our generation, right, I think that, and again, well, you did too, so I can't speak to why you don't like it. I don't understand it, right? But I think that, okay, my dad had me when he was 17. Okay, so he was in the area where like that was his shit, you know, like
Metallica
that was
yeah,
again, he was learning how to play, like he plays guitar, so like those were the songs that he would play. He put those tapes in, so there's like a nostalgia attached to me with it or whatever, you know. But when I'm looking at that time, I'm like, I just feel like for like the 80s were almost like the midway point between like the old past and now, you know, like there's almost like a weird, you know, like. I don't know. There's like almost like a handoff between. It was
like the bridge between like these like big hair bands to like grunge, and in between there is like a, you know, something that was.
90s were like, okay, we're gonna start talking about like electronic and like getting into, and then now we're all the way to the side of like AI, and then like in the past it was like your classical, like, you know, and I just feel like Metallica was like that perfect like whoosh, the swish of you know, like because it's like they had so much influence with like classical and shit. Megadeth would try, but like, come on, bro. Anyway, again, you can like Megadeth. That's cool too. Like I like them as well, but like Metallica, it's just I just feel like it was a perfect culmination of like rock and orchestra, and you know, I remember when I bought Ride the Lightning, like the album or whatever. I thought it was like the wrong CD at first. Because it started with classic, you know, it just sounded like classical music. And I'm like, what the hell? And there was like, and there was just like goosebumps.
I remember, I think it all started too. Like one summer I was at your house. I spent like a good chunk of the summers there, you know, I'm just hanging out with you. And like the new one albums came out. Can't remember which one it was, but you just be in your room like playing it. And I'm like, can we go outside? Like, shit sucks. But you know, like being like younger, it was probably just like a jump for me because I wasn't like my dad was like, you know, whatever was on W4 Country or whatever, you know, at the time, you know, which, you know. And
you have a lot more to recall than me. When we're both learning songs or whatever, you always pull out. You're like, oh, you know, an older country or blues or whatever. And I'm like, oh.
Well, my mom showed me a lot of Motown stuff and different things, you know. My mom and Tyrone and stuff like this. So I'd would copy those CDs or borrow CDs from Tyrone and like listen to older stuff, which I still to this day love like old Motown or like funk music.
Me too,
and, I mean, it's the bass lines and stuff, but yeah, it's just a funny thing. I don't think it's quite 1%, but
I think also like we don't like.
I do understand what you're saying about it being this like just kind of like that was kind of like a ripple between like these two different like points in history of music, you know, and it was like back then, like, you know, I was talking about with Marla the other day about, or actually today, we're talking about, because I was talking about this with somebody else. I can't remember who it was. We were talking about like when you hook people young. We were talking about like Taylor Swift, for example, is a good example. Like she rode with these girls from 12 when they were breaking up all the time, right? And then once you get that nostalgia and like they know you, and then you also grow with them, and then like now it's like you have them forever. Like there's no stickier way to get somebody to be a fan forever and to have longevity in your art than to get people when they're young, you know, and then that nostalgia thing. I mean, look what they do with movies now. They remake movies that we loved when we were younger, and they make live action movies for it because they know we're going to take our kids because of nostalgia, you know? So it's like, it makes sense too that you have that sticking point. Like, oh, I heard my dad doing it, like playing this music when I was 6. You know, playing it in the car, you know?
Yeah. I feel too that like, maybe this is just, you know, me coming up on 40 now, right? Is it like when you're young and you're like putting together your concept of who you're going to be, right? You're kind of just taking in everything when you're young, when you're a kid, right?
Mixing
you're just like everything,
up.
just like you don't know. You're just like, you know, you'll like a Britney Spears song, whatever. You'll like everything. You just music or whatever, movies, same sort of thing. You're trying to figure it out. When you get to be like 20 or whatever, then you're just like, okay, I think I know who I want to be, right? And you start going down a path of like, in your 20s, like a little bit more guided, right? You're like, okay, I think I want to be sophisticated. I want to listen to
I'm
things.
going to be kind of a punk skater.
Yeah, like
thing.
I want to,
like,
you know, you're building your identity a little bit, right? You know, but then it's like, I think as you start to reach 40, you're kind of like the microwaves.
I want to be comfortable.
Where you're just like, ding, and you're like, okay, cool, now you bring it all back. Or you're like, okay, now this is who I am. You know, like, also, it's like you almost make callbacks to your childhood a little bit more. Like I've been feeling a little bit more at 40. I've been feeling more connected with myself at like, you know, my late teens than I have lately, where I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm becoming more of like, which is weird because I'm becoming 40, but I feel like I'm getting in touch with like the youthful side of myself a little bit more now because I'm like, life is going on and I'm like, even though, you know, things haven't necessarily settled down or whatever, you know, and for a lot of people at this age it has or whatever, but like, I think there's not too much more you're going to throw at me, you know, that it's going to completely surprise me. So I'm starting to feel more comfortable in life. And like, naturally, I'm like, even things that I thought were like kind of buried where I'm like, oh man, a Limp Bizkit song just hits. And I'm like, what the hell, dude? You know, like it was like almost cheesy to me. And it still kind of is when you say it out loud. But like, you know, like 10 years ago, it would have been like so silly to have done or whatever. But then now it's just like, man, like that was part of who I am, not just who I was.
Well, you also got like New Eyes. It's been so long since you took that journey back to those songs or that older stuff. I love what like my daughter got, and Evan too, big Deftones fans. So it was like cool to like them bringing like out these old. I mean, and Beck went and seen them, and they were great. You know,
you saw them?
Yeah.
That's still one I've never seen, bro. One of my favorite. It's probably my favorite band that I've never seen.
Yeah,
it's Deftones. Yeah.
Didn't you see them with Tool, or was that another band?
I didn't see Deftones or Tool.
Oh, you didn't go to that show? I remember you and your dad invited me to go to a show, and then my stepmom was like, he couldn't go, he's crowded. And I thought it was Tool and Deftones. Maybe it was just Tool. I thought it was Tool at least. It wasn't?
No, I never saw Tool.
Really?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, Mikey can't go, so I'll just take my buddy from work.
Maybe. Did my dad go with his friend from work? I think my dad went with his friend from work, so it might have been a thing where like maybe I would have gotten tickets, or like I would have tried going with you or something, and then he ended up going because
I got dude, I got invited, and I was supposed to go, and then I got grounded or something, you know. Sure. Got ambushed by that, and then so I assumed that you guys went without me, but maybe he just changed the plans and was like,
who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways,
that would have been like my first concert. Like that would have been amazing.
Really?
You know? Yeah. But back to what you're saying too. Like my feeds have like skateboarding in them now, because that's like nostalgic to me. Like, you know, like seeing skateboard videos. Like there's a time when I would just like, you know, watch these VHS skate tapes in between skating. You know. Yeah. It just brings things. You know, it comes back. You almost feel the way you felt back then. Like, we were talking about this a little bit ago. Like you have a great energy, like a great time, and then you hear that song again, and it just takes you back to that vibe or that time, and you can almost like feel it and smell it. Yeah. You know, it's like when I watch skate tapes and stuff, it just takes me back to like skating around Detroit. And I'm always telling the story too. Like now when I go to Detroit, it's so busy. But I remember when I was younger, man, it was dead down there. We would go skate on a Saturday. Nobody would be down there, and we just owned the city. Like we were just skateboarding and you know, hopping up curbs and.
Now you get hit with a scooter and shit.
Yeah. Now there's scooters zipping everywhere. People are yelling, honking. It's just like crazy. Yeah. Which is good. For the local economy. But I just always telling that story, like, man, when I used to come down here, I'm telling Evan that the other day, when I used to come down here, man, there was nobody here.
Exactly. Yeah.
You just own the city.
Just run around, right? It's fun.
Get yelled at randomly by some bum, like, hey, come over here real quick.
Yeah. I know it's kind of funny, like you say that about like skateboarding, because I felt the same sort of thing where I'm like, oh, showing Connor like old Jackass videos and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is a lot gayer than I remember. Just gonna say that straight up or whatever, which is fine. Hey, I'm not against gay people or whatever, but I'm just like, the joke is that there's gay people there. Like, the joke is that someone likes dicks, like on a lot of it, and I'm just like,
well, it was all about shock factor stuff. So it's like, well, if you put him in his tighty whities every day and light him on fire or whatever, like, it's gonna get a lot more shocked than if he's in shorts.
And I remember like even Connor making a comment or something like, man, what is with all like the gay stuff? And then I started feeling like insecure. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, I don't know. Like,
but that stuff started with like CKY, because I remember I was on a CKY before Jackass even came out, and that was the same thing, like he's running full speed with his Speedos and taking a crap, So like, I think it was all about that, like kind of
counterculture, right?
Shock. I mean, think about how many artists did that too. I mean, they still do. I'm gonna wear this dress or whatever, or even NBA play. Like everybody's doing the same kind of thing. It's
provocative.
Like if I'm just like, I can either be really, I can shortcut attention by being provocative.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the easy way, the fast fast track it. So you got professionals, publicists telling you, put on this, wear this goofy thing, on the runway or whatever. We're gonna get the news. Most people are probably making fun of you and hate it, but you're gonna be on the news. People are gonna know your name.
Yeah. Exactly.
The amount of artists I've never heard of and never heard their music, but I see like pop up on a feed or something, that's people are talking about them. It's like, who cares? Who is this guy?
Yeah.
Or who is this person? Like,
someone that showed a nipple. Someone showed a nipple or did something provocative.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's just like, for a while they're doing stuff like devil, like, oh, I'm gonna wear devil horns. I'm gonna do this, or like,
Yeah. Nowadays, it's like even like showing a nipple or whatever is like not even gonna get you there, because like I don't know if you saw the Twitter trend or X trend or whatever from like yesterday or a couple days ago, where it was just like, I think Elon's the one that even started it, where he was just like, at Grok, put me in a bikini or whatever, like as a joke. And like, there was no picture online yesterday that wasn't getting like AI changing like women into like, oh, put them in lingerie, it's just like, oh shit, like he opened the floodgate, and it was just it was like everybody, just like
everyone's like, damn, that's a pretty hot looking Elon, whatever. And they're like, what can I do with an actual woman? Like,
and it was like, it was pretty crazy. I'm just like, I'm like, Pandora's box is just like opened yesterday, like in that sense, where I'm like, oh man, this is like a weird place to go now, like you kind of can't get that back.
Dude, that stuff's getting crazy. I was watching, I don't know if you watched the video on that Higgs field AI, but it's just like a really good cinematic, like generates the images, and it can do video too, but you can choose your camera. So they're trying to make like really cinematic looking shots. So you can choose your camera, like a Sony Venice, a red camera. You can choose your lens. And I was watching the video, I'm just like what is generating? It's just crazy. Like as far as the quality of it.
Yeah.
Like it's getting really good, and it's gonna get scary when people are just taking other people's likenesses or whatever. Which like, so I was talking about with Marlon, and I was like, we're talking about like, oh, I can use your likeness in the videos, but then I'm like, even though I love you, why would I do that? Like, because you could generate, not that she's less beautiful than something I could generate, but like the idea of taking real people's likeness is like, why do I need to do that for a film? And I like made a prompt, and I made an actor looking guy like based off of like George Clooney and a couple other people, and it made this like super cool looking like guy who's got some miles on him, kind of like actor guy, and I'm like, this is an amazing like character. Like this, just this one image of him, he had all these rings on, he looked worn and leathered up, like it was, I'm just like, yeah, we don't need like, and that's what's scary about like actors and stuff, like that's coming. I kind of have a theory that all the actors we have now that we've had through history, those are going to be the last ones who are real people whose likeness we're going to use in the future movies. You know what I'm saying? Because we're still going to want the nostalgia of like, Al Pacino or different people that had these like unique cadences about them.
In the same way that we're just like Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, these like caricatures of the past, right? Yeah. Where it's like, they're like icons, so you don't want to lose them.
Right.
But in the same sense, yeah, it makes me worried. The only part that makes me feel a little bit okay about the future with that is like the concept that, like we still have record players. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people out there that like, I know that the sound is like different on a record player, but I'm telling you, you're telling me it's better than Dolby Atmos, right? You're telling me it's better than Dolby Atmos? Like, 7.1 surround sound, you're telling me it's better, like a record player? Like, I get like you want to have something physical, and that's the fun in it. Like I like records myself or whatever, but it's like to actually have something physical and be like, this was carved, this has something, it's not going to get, society's not going to change, and you're not going to just remove the song from my album. This is here. This is a piece of, it's actually history. It's like an actual piece of it, and I think that there's going to be something that happens, and I don't know how we do it, Again, it was almost nice when AI, when we were like, oh man, they keep messing up the fingers. It was almost nice when that was there.
Little something.
You know what I'm saying? Like maybe there'll be one thing that we figure out that it can't do,
You know what it can't do? It won't be able to make bad content. You know what I'm saying? Like a podcast like this, like eventually they'll be like, but it is are these people even exist? But the fact that like it's somewhat poor quality, people are going to be like, it is kind of like really blurry.
Exactly.
Because I'm using cheap webcams, so like that actually might be the thing that's like, I think it is real. Like, look how crappy it is.
There's got to be something like a human side to it, right? Where there's going to be like, okay, and you just hope that you can pick up on that and it can't be mimicked. Well,
the giveaway is that it's so perfect. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they're chasing. They're chasing perfection.
A lot of times I'll see a video and I'm like, or a picture and I'm like, I definitely know it's AI for that exact reason. Or I'm like, come on, bro, that's like way too good.
Yeah.
Like no blemish, no whatever. It's like that exact thing.
It is getting like, and I don't know where the lines are. I don't know if I told you this before, but like my one buddy, he does like sports photography and stuff like that, and he had like took photos of like players on the girls basketball team or whatever, and he took the photo and had them like go like this. And I'm like, man, that's so good. I was like, I don't know how I feel about this though. Like, how are parents going to feel about the fact that you, like, we had a discussion, like, is this okay right now?
Why does my 8-year-old have a tattoo sleeve?
You know what I'm saying? Because like, right away, people are going to be like projecting out and be like, what?
My kid's not that skinny.
Or, no, they look just like him. All you did was take a photo and just make them go like this. But it's like, you're making somebody else move. Like, you're making somebody else's kid, like, move. Is this, I don't know if this is good or not. Like, and this is before I did it to myself. Like, before that I didn't have like, Sora. I wasn't messing with Sora. So I never even made myself move. So I'm like, I can't even speak on experience yet. Like, would this creep me out if it was me? That you have the ability to make me move and do things. Like, there's like that discussion that has to happen, and there's like discussion of like,
if you can make a kid go like this.
Right.
Like, what else can you make a kid do?
People
bro?
with a bad mindset might project that out and be like, oh man, like, I gotta watch who has pictures of my wife or who has access to picture, But it's like, is that even like if you're a man online or woman online and somebody takes your photo that you posted and puts you in lingerie, is that really even you though? Like, it is, but it's not. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. But the problem is like when you get into,
chances are you're gonna look better in that lingerie than you do in real life.
That's me. Yeah, that's definitely me. Yeah, but like, also like the problem is like when it can be used. It's like there's no like.
I want to post a real picture of me in like Speedo and be like, AI is getting crazy, and it's like a real photo,
dude. And I'm telling you, that is like that's. I swear, when that was going on yesterday with like the Grok photo, it was like, oh, the at Grok or whatever. I'm like, this could easily like somebody could, post a picture of them cheating on their husband and be like, oh man, I got a photo Grok to me. You could literally like hide behind the same thing, and that's the problem is like there's no token of truth anymore, where it's just like. Crap. And again, Pandora's out of the box now, so it's like almost like a mute point, because it's like if it exists at all, like even nefarious people are going to have it, so there's no getting it back in the box.
Well, the thing is, like, most people don't care, and they'll run like a story. So say somebody takes a famous person, does a video of them robbing somebody or punching a bum or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like the lie will take off and everybody want to believe it because it's sensational. So it won't matter if it's fake or not, but I do believe that there's enough like digital forensic attached to like AI video and images where like if it was a court of law, they can actually track and say like this is
how?
Even Gemini does it. Like I had a little talk with Gemini because I was like, Nana Banana. I'm like, why do you keep putting watermarks? Like I was pissed. I was just like, is it because Nana Banana is super duper duper special? Like everybody else isn't doing watermarks. Why are you doing it? Like, it's part of our tracking. Like, also in our tracking is in the code. We do tracking, But you've heard, like in court of law, I've heard people going back like even if it goes to your phone to something else, like there's probably ways around it. But most people who are just going to spit out some stupid image to try to frame somebody, they're not going to think about the digital forensics. So there's tracking stuff attached to like the dates, and I'm sure you've seen it too on your computer. It'll show you like the date it was taken.
Yeah, your metadata or whatever.
Metadata, yeah. So there's a lot that they're trying to add to these like AI images that will stick to them regardless of where they're transferred to. So, hopefully nobody can ever frame you for a murder you didn't do.
Are you ready?
Can you imagine that? Like, I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to use AI to make a video of somebody else killing that person. And then, like, CCT, I'll throw it on the camera.
It could happen today. Today,
it's that good.
Right now, the capabilities, it could happen today. And you want to know the workaround of what you just talked about? Is play that video.
Yeah. And record
and
it.
now it's a whole new
Record it
file.
on your CCT camera, or whatever, like outside.
Yeah.
And it already looks like crap anyways. It's like a security camera.
Yeah, or record, again, if the footage is, okay, I recorded this video of the, on my phone or whatever, it doesn't have any metadata.
Yeah.
Well, that was or take a picture of AI or whatever, it's like, or even screenshot, A lot of that, you lose the metadata.
Well, I guess we're just screwed then. I don't know. It's scary. So the other day I was messing around, and I told you I planned over break to try to mess with like AI video creation. I want to do the video to video thing. And I was on Fall AI, and I was like, oh well, I'm gonna put my coat on and do a little video where I'm like, hey, I'm on Times Square, Happy New Year's, everybody, love you guys, love everybody, And I got like a background, and I did the video, but it was like all messed up. And then when Marla seen it, I was like, oh, you want to do a photo? We could definitely do that. And then so we put our coats on, did a photo, and then posted it. And then after like 2 people liked it, I'm like, I feel bad. This isn't real. Like, people are gonna think this is real. Like, and it's like, and then even now we haven't even like even Marla even went in there. It's like New York ! Like, she's just leaning into it. She doesn't even care. But I'm like,
I know.
I feel like I'm misleading. I don't know. Like am I lying? Like we were talking about before, like when you trace something or whatever, like. And somebody would be like, you did a great job drawing that. And you're like, but I didn't draw it. Like, I don't know.
I wish it's like,
I don't know where the
there's you can't have a code because everyone's different, right?
Right.
For myself, like, because I feel like creativity is like a muscle. I want to use it, right? Where I'm like, if I rely on AI for everything, then it's like I'm not going to be able to make music. I'm not going to be able to come up with ideas,
right?
Because I'm just pull out my phone, give me 10 ideas or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just think that you're losing like the essence of what it means to create, right? It's to like take a part of you and like share it and get it out of you, or
right.
like express it, But there's small things like with media and stuff, like when I've been doing like little videos or whatever, like, okay, for like the small little intro. Wow, is copyright so much easier using Suno or whatever, like let me do like a little, like make an AI instrumental video of just like, 60s rock.
Instrumental song.
And just have it in the background or whatever. That just sounds, like background music that, would have been taken off of a YouTube video or something.
Do you remember how hard it was when we first started video, like to define stock, like royalty-free music?
Oh my gosh.
It was the hardest part of the video production was like finding music that you could put, and the music is the backbone of any video that you did. You wanted music, and you could not find music. Like even YouTube didn't have a list of songs that you could use, or nobody. Yeah. So it's like, and then it became easier. It was like, okay, well, we got a bunch of artists, and now it's $10 a month. You have access to all these songs through Epidemic Sound or something. Now I don't use Epidemic Sound. I'm just going to either 11 Labs or Suno, and just like picturing what I hear, and it's so much better because it's just like. But I'm also learning stuff like what's the tempo I'm looking for, what keys, what's the root note that would give me the energy I want. Yeah. So like I have studied enough to like now be able to prompt it. To get more what I want, but I'm doing like first try. I'm like this because usually I would have to search. Even if I have Epidemic Sound, it would take me an hour.
Oh my gosh!
To search, like I'd be hitting play on my editor and then playing that song and be like, and I would kind of go with the first one that really kind of sounded decent, and that would be enough, know. But now it's like I'm nailing it better
right away, right?
From the first generation. Yeah,
exactly.
So what's that do for all those artists that are on? That used to get a nickel for every download or whatever they got from Epidemic Sound.
Yeah. I don't know. But like it's a thing now too where, if your art was making the music, if you were like, yeah, I have a YouTube channel where I make music or whatever, and you're just like, oh, I'm going to play a song that I created or whatever. Like there's something about that feels wrong, right? But, for if you're doing a video like, oh, gaming or, you know, reactions, or even just like, you know, like, who knows, whatever, highlight videos, wedding videos, or whatever, you know, and you're just like, the music at this point isn't the focus or whatever. I just need something to help me transition, or like a few seconds of background music, you know, to kind of make it feel lively. Like, do you want to spend 2 weeks learning how to compose something? Like, it would take me forever to make that something that good for just a background of a few seconds, you know, or again, and the financial impact of having to pay for the rights. You know, like, oh man, I almost hope this video doesn't get big or whatever.
What's scary is like projecting that out like 10, 20 years, right? Because like me and you are prompting Suno, but we're prompting Suno. You know, you listen to a lot of Megadeth, you listen to a lot of this. Like, we have like all these different influences. Like you said, when we were younger, we collected all this influence and put it and mixed it all together to like make our taste and our style. You know, like, what happens when everybody's taste and style kind of gets more and more diluted, or like you said, less people play music, less people study it, less people understand how to prompt it better. And then everybody's just doing the basic prompts. Give me something emotional, you know, or something. And it's like, so 20, 50 years out or something, everything starts to sound, or, you know, like the Suno songs, like they kind of all sound the same. All the singers, you know, if you do a country song and it's a male voice, it's going to sound like Chris Stapleton. If you do, you know, I can tell AI generated songs pretty easy just by the voice, you know, not so much the music, but the voice. When the voice kicks in, I'm like, Suno. Yeah. Like, I've generated enough to know.
Yeah, same.
But, you know, but eventually you won't be able to tell. You're going to be able to like change voices, but eventually down the road, I feel like, I don't know, I guess it brings that herd or that school of fish or that flock of birds. It brings us even tighter, where there's not as much creativity in the collective flight, in a way. You know?
Or we're just all flying off in our own directions all the time, and there is no culture. You know, because
but, I mean, you still got to appease the masses to a certain extent, which kind of keeps everything united. But there's less fringe, or the fringe is not as far away. You know what I'm saying? Like, the people pushing people's taste. Like, right now, we might have a wide flock as the people out there on the edges pushing our taste. But over time, if we have less influence and get lazy, now we have less people on those far fringes that are going to push our taste to new levels, or be really, truly creative. Yeah, that's what I think. But I feel like before that is like our generation and like generation below us that already have like a lot of fringe, you know, more fringe ideas and tastes that are going to use AI to like really push it far. But I think like at the other end of that, like, I don't know, I always think like there's going to be like a kind of like roaring, you know, 20-year period, you know, and then it's going to get kind of like, you know, everything ebbs and flows. Yeah, I feel
it's a situation too where, again, with music and just everything else in AI, right? It's like a circular reference, you know, because it's like if you start using AI to create AI, and then AI is only learning the stuff that it created or whatever, then it's gonna hit like this really hard wall where it's like, okay, well, that's again where, you know, again, can it learn as new people kind of create new sounds or whatever, and like that also evolves alongside what we're doing with it, you know? Or is it going to be a thing where like humans are just like, okay, well, our commercials and whatever, you know, this is all this, and then the imperfection, like you were talking about, like, is it going to be like you're going to go to a smoky room, almost like a jazz bar back in the day or something? Like, all right, you're going to go to a place, there's going to be a person who's going to play live instruments, like actual live and touch strings.
The value of that's going to go up.
And like they're going to put on like an experience in a show that you can't download on Spotify. Like, you can't buy their music or anywhere. Like, it's not online or whatever. Like, you know, and like that become like the new music thing where it's like, hey, you need to come check out this guy or whatever. You're like, where is he online? Like, he's not. Like,
ooh. I think that's going to be where musicians fit in the future. Like, we're going to value live performance even more, you know, because we're going to see like that raw and appreciate that raw. Because I still to this day, you know, like, you know, even watching like the Fredigan videos, he's kind of like doing it all live, and I'm just sitting there like, I would have stopped and talked. I was watching like the Tiny Desk version performance by him, and I'm like, I would have messed up or fat fingered a key or done something. But some people can perform at that level without any, like, they're so into it that they're just flawless. And it's like the appreciation I have for that, and I feel like that'll grow. Like, once everybody's like, everything kind of sounds the same or whatever, like, yeah, you're not going to make no money to put your music online on just like Spotify, you know. But there's going to be a lot more respect for like local performances, like local bands taking off, people wanting to see people mess up the rawness of performance, or even like a live video performance that's a session, I think. Yeah. And becomes more valuable.
I think it becomes like everything too, in a sense that like, even like when I got into video stuff, and even like when you got into it, remember like the entry point to do videography and to do videos and stuff was so hard, right? Where it's just like, even just like keeping everything charged, you know, like, man, I went through so many batteries and like so many different things and lenses and, you know, and again, even before or whatever, like, you know, my old cameras were on tapes. Like I'd have to go buy a pack of tapes for a wedding. Like, okay, cool. It's like, you know, a big ass sleeve of tapes, and then I'd record, and then that night I'd, you know, almost like switching laundry. I'd have to like record into my computer, and I have to play the actual tape in real time and shit, right? Yeah. And like, there's this thing that was like a protected kind of thing, right? Like we were video makers, you know, which was kind of cool. Like we had the power to like carve videos that people couldn't. Like I remember, you know, like when we first started doing videos, taking a little tour of like, oh, we make a video CD or DVD and like tour it, because there was no YouTube and stuff, you know? And like, it felt so cool to be able to create something and share it in that way. And I think that like now the entry is so much easier, that it also means that there's a lot of garbage out there, right? Where it's like, oh, people don't care. Now it's just, oh, TikTok dances and just shit. We're like, oh man, you know, and again, there's a place for that too, if it makes you happy, whatever, you know? But also like, then you get like, you know, your Sean Ryans and like your different like people that like might not have had their, you know, their opportunity to be a podcaster, but they used like the entry level as like, you know, a way to like, how can they express themselves that maybe they didn't have that ticket. And somehow if we can use AI as that, right, where it's like, okay, you know, again, for me, like I always run into the like when I go to the video store or whatever, you know, like when I was a kid, it's like I would be there for hours because I couldn't make a decision. Yeah. You know, but when I could put it in someone else's hands, like a small decision, like, hey, just name this for me. You know, like I would literally not be able to make videos because of the final pieces and like the final decisions, because I was so indecisive about things. And sometimes like, you know, like it opens things up where you can go, hey, just make me a quick little thing or whatever. Like now I can do what I do best, which is like, you know, whatever, you know, well, like dive into.
What you're talking about is like creative mobility. Like now we have more creative mobility. It's like, I think it was Marlo's brought this up. Like Elon has talked about like he doesn't, you know, believe in abortion. He's like basically like have all the kids we can, because it's so rare to find true genius, and we need true geniuses like in the world. We need those kind of people out there. But
think saying I'm a genius?
Yeah, absolutely. But think about how many geniuses were born before like this technology that we never heard of, because they didn't meet somebody with a camera with tapes that could record their talent, or that could platform them and get them seen. You know, now it's like, if you have that talent, if you have those ideas, all you need is your phone. And you're going to kick it on at some point, because you feel that pull to share your unique ideas with people.
If the only cameras that exist are film cameras, you don't get a Casey Neistat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But then like just the entry point of like, I can afford that camera. And, you know, record on tapes or whatever. It's a little bit of work. Open it up. We're like, wow, you know, he pushed the art forward.
Well, he was a great example, because like, guy got an HBO with point and shoot, you know, power shoot cameras, like terrible quality, but he told great stories.
Exactly.
Like that was so inspiring to me. Like that's actually when I stopped buying as much equipment finally. After I watched that, I'm like, the equipment doesn't matter. The story is what matters.
And again, you just, you know, brought up a good point, that it really is the story part of it, right? So it's like, how can we use AI to help tell a story? It's fine, you know, like, okay, you know, you can talk about like, oh, is it taking jobs? Is it whatever? You know, like that's all a conversation to have. But when we're talking about specifically art, like, can you use it softly in a way to like enable you like a runway? You know, is there something that can open you up to like really get into your lane, because you're not focusing on something that would take you away or whatever, you know, like, and if you do have that ease, like what can you create, right?
If you're trying to do something, you're trying to serve, whether it's a community or a customer or whatever, and it helps you to provide that service or to reach this goal you have of whatever, then I think it's great. Like, so I'm working on a project right now, and I started researching like, you know, some local like news outlets and stuff like that, like more like, you know, hometown newspapers, things like that. And I started reading a lot of these articles, and it's like, they're more robotic and streamlined as far as like, you know, they write something about, say, a basketball team does good against another team or whatever, like, and they type, and it's like 1 or 2 paragraphs, really short, and it's more robotic and like, well, here's the details, and it's probably written by a human, but it's more robotic to me than what I would have been able to generate with AI. So it's like, if what I generate with AI, you know, because it's like that conscious dilemma. It's like, am I making it? You know, if I have a blog post, that's a local blog post made with AI, am I, you know, I'm kind of like just doing the research and just figuring things out. And it's like, there's no strong writers. Like a lot of these people are just pumping out stuff for the SEO, and they're having writers write just the basic details about happening. And it's almost like a really robotic compared to what you can do with AI. So like, or AI, you can give it a prompt and be like, we're about uniting the community. We want to rally behind this team, whatever. And it'll pump out double the size, like a super engaging
They walk
copy.
into our arena again on a Friday night.
Yeah.
The lights seemed a little brighter that
Exactly.
night. You know, like,
and at the other end of that, like this one gave you all the details, whatever, it was a report, and then this one gave you this story, like you're saying, and it hooked you, and it got you be like, yeah, man, this girls' basketball team's doing great, or this team's doing great this year. Like I'm pumped, and I'm united, and I'm like more into local sports. Like, which one's is that one bad?
Yeah.
You know, like because it's the outcome. It's you know what? I don't,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like to say like. You know, you shouldn't do like it's always bad, or to have this like, you know, grab your pitchforks and be against all AI content. Like,
yeah, and I don't think I think you'd be lying to yourself for you to say that it's always bad. The problem is a lot of times it's really, really good. You know, and that's almost more of the problem because it just goes like, okay, well, where are we in this whole thing? And you know, and it really does go back to that where it's like. Because, you know, even as you're saying that about, like, the basketball players or whatever, you know, my thing is, like, man, like, that's a good point, right? Because it's, like, some of those are pretty lame. But then it's, like, what responsibility do you have? Like, me, at my job, I'm using – oh, shit, I'm about to get in trouble. On things that have nothing to do with my work or whatever, like, I'll ask it questions that help me with my work because I'm not allowed to put anything company-related. I got a memo. Anyways. So, like, you know, but, like – I know that I'm super efficient at what I do because I'm constantly just like, even when I feel like this can't be done better, I'm just like, just throwing it back, you know, just like, how can I be better? How can I be more efficient? How can I be more whatever? And like, now if that person took that same responsibility as a writer and was like, I want to give, like the whole point of me, when I grew up as a kid and I wanted to become a writer for the newspaper, like I wanted to move people, man, you know, and if this AI is doing it better than me, like, what are you do? Like, okay, compare the stories.
Amplify where I'm already at.
Yeah, like, what help me? Like, where's the story in this? You know, and then it could even like again, maybe if you use AI and it's like, you know, like what is the compelling piece? What part like can really move your heart the most or whatever? It might not only teach you how to be a better writer, but it might teach you how to be a more open human because you're like. You're looking for moments or whatever, you know, and that like you have to instead of just like putting in a prompt though, like because you could just say, hey, this is what happened, give me a story.
Like you were talking about earlier about it could make us lazy, right? I think about like when I'm working with it because I'm, you know, I have tastes, I'm pretty creative and stuff like that. So a lot of times when I'm working with it, it almost feels like me collaborating with you. Where it's like I put in a bunch of.
That's why you never collaborate with me anymore. No, I'm just kidding. That's my whole point.
You think that helps you? Aren't you depressed?
Yeah, you just pull up your Tony bot.
I may or may not have one. I didn't put it all our podcast, and I'm like,
just share it with my kids. If
sorry, I want to say, I mean, obviously didn't fully replace you. I still need you here for podcasts.
Yeah, you just need more data. Like I got a circular reference. I need some more data. Let's bring them over
until I make an avatar.
Yeah.
But like it does feel more collaborative because it's like I give some input, it gives some feedback, and I'm like, well, I don't like that direction, blah blah blah. So it's like some of my best work has come from like collaborating with people. So it's like sometimes it feels like it pulls out the best out of me and then brings in some things because it will placate you, and like if you don't tell it what to do, it's just gonna be like everything's a great idea. Sometimes you gotta be like, be an asshole to me and really tell me how you feel.
But sometimes, dude, because like, and I think that's maybe where I get so much benefit out of the Chat GPT thing or whatever, is that like I get kind of hard. I get so hard on myself that sometimes just being blasted with positivity is exactly what I need. You know, just being like, because a lot of times I am like overthinking things and I am right. And again, not saying I can't ever be wrong, but like I'll tell myself I'm wrong all the time. And they're just like, no, chill, bro. Like that's a fair thought. I don't know if you're just like pumping me up or whatever, but damn, it's been a lot of relief because I'm like, I knew that was right. You know, like those little, again, I wouldn't rely on something that would be like important to a relationship or anything like that. But again, like it is interesting to just. Wait,
did you? I think you told me a story before that you were you were running some personal stuff there. I mean, whatever. Yeah. And when someone's not around to talk to, it's like, you know.
Let me ask ChatGPT how to get out of this one. You caught me. You caught me. You caught me in a lie.
You know that Britney Spears? I was dating her before she was famous.
Oh, we got me.
That's a funny video. I'm looking forward to the day that we have another, because we did like 5 videos that day, and we just bopped around my house doing 5. Like, that's what the first thing I'm going to do when they're finally at this like video to video where we can just act and then just be like, oh, make this person, change the voice to this voice, put them in this setting, because we're just going to sit out here. We'll talk during the week. We'll come up with like 5 more skits, and I just want to do a bunch of those. Like, I feel like that'll be like the best practice for our first little dabble into like AI filmmaking. I think it'll be a blast.
What's a code that we can come up with? Like, we might even be able to like make it, you know, like Murphy's Law. Like, we need to almost just make like a law for creators, you know, where we can go like, hey, this much use of AI, like, hey, if you're making something in a video and you need the music, like, that's not, you know, like, you have to create the rest. Or like what you're talking about, like, okay, we want to do like, oh, like put us in costumes or whatever. We're like, okay, and then we cannot use ChatGPT for a script, for a title, for a thumbnail, or for whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what's
But then you're still going to be like, well, we have 3 ideas for a title. Here's 3 ideas. give me 3 more. You know, like, it's going to be too tempting to be like, and you're like, oh, damn. But you know.
Yeah, I almost feel like, again, like there has to be some sort of like compromise that we can come up with ourselves, where we go like, man, like, let's, in the same way when you're hanging out with somebody, right, and somebody asks a question like, oh man, what movie was that, and someone instantly yells it out because they Googled it, you're like, yeah, oh man, like, that was going to be a conversation, you know, like, you just killed the whole, like, me working through like what movie it was or whatever.
I know it wasn't so he did this movie, I like that movie, you know, like, it just like goes into like a couple branches and comes back, like finally someone's like, hey, I remembered. Yeah,
conversation doesn't have to be efficient. Sometimes you're just working through shit or whatever, right? But like, and so like in the same way with the creative process, like, what kind of guardrails can we, you know, implement on ourselves to go like, okay, if I'm going to use some background music, if that shit's at 30% and I'm using it for a part, who cares? But like, you know,
I think the gauge is the feedback, because if somebody watches it and they're like,
flop,
this is flop, you know, and then you're screwed. Like, there's these videos that pop up and I can't get rid of them. I keep like trying to like block the guy, but it's just like, it's made it through an innate automation. I know it, because they basically just take videos and they upload it, and then this innate thing makes a script and puts a little avatar in the top corner. It's like, look at this guy, he's about to mow his lawn. Isn't it interesting how this lawnmower cuts through the lawn? You know, it's like, is you can just tell it's just a channel is just pumping out AI faceless. Well, it's got an avatar, you know, fake, you know, but it's just like so obviously AI that I'm just like, like the second I see it, I'm like, no. But enough people are watching it where he's getting thousands of views.
I think the important part in that,
you have to inject it. It's like making a recipe. It's like, you have to put in enough humanism in there, enough of your own taste and stuff like that to make something good, or else it's going to come out like slop.
If you create something because you love it, it almost doesn't matter what tools you use, right?
Right.
If you create something because you're just like, man, I want to make some money, let me get some clicks or whatever, and you just try to come up with an algorithm of getting money, and you're using something that other people use to be inspired, there's a problem, right? When you're just like, okay, I'm on YouTube, and you're just like, damn it, you just put a hot topic, you had an AI voice read to me or whatever, and you're like, oh man, like, that's so removed from like, if anybody can do it, then you shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, like, if me and you were going to pull out a camera and record a skit, it's because we like the concept of the character or whatever, and it made us laugh, and we're just like, oh, we got to bring this to life. Right. That's probably all you need for people to like it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, because, you know.
It was nice though, I guess, like, again, when you look back in history, it was nice to have that ticket of entry be like, all right, I'll bring my wireless mic or whatever. Like,
costumes,
all right, you bring your lights.
Like, I had a costume box. Like, from that night, I like saved those costumes. They're still in a box. Like, and I did something similar to most other nights where people wore costumes or whatever and like recorded. Yeah. And it's like, now you don't even need the costumes.
Yeah, but that was like that was so efficient and fun, and you made it in a way where it was like you could just like, again, in the way that your studio has been set up multiple times, where it's like you can just go up there and just start having fun. Right. You know, like, but that was like something that you carved out. That like other people like just didn't have access to. It's like, oh, I have this idea for a video. Remember how many times like people would always just come to us like, man, I got a funny video idea or whatever, and they just want to share it with us because they're like, you guys are the ones that know how to do
More
this.
times than not, it was like, and the car explodes, and you're like, it's so hard to get people, especially like get people to be like, understand like how hard production was. It's like, no, like, how about something we can shoot on the green screen? How about something that we can film in a house? Like, we can't go and be in multiple houses. We can't go have.
How are we going to go to jail?
But now you can.
How are we going to be in the back of a cop car? Do you know a cop?
We used to talk about that too. Like, we should just do a cartoon because we can go anywhere. We can do anything. And like that's now that's where we're going with filmmaking. Like, we can be out here, like, you want to be. Like, we were throwing stuff behind in the green screen, but it's like now we can have people moving in the background. We can put you in any setting, and like, so now it's like you can be acting and be in any setting, and it can look as real as a movie. Mm-hmm. Like, that's what I'm excited about with AI filmmaking. Like, is like there's no boundaries. We can be in space, we can be underwater, we can do anything, and it's not a high production.
And right now, though, that's awesome, and that's going to be our trajectory. But again, if we were really trying to think about, okay, art and money and like where to go in the future, I would start thinking about what is the rawest. Like, bro, I'm going to learn how to paint in front of people. You know, like, what is the rawest source? Again, like when we were talking about, there's going to be like live performances and whatever. But like, what is the most real thing that I could do?
I mean,
as far as art,
I think this is like stuff like this, like long form podcasts. I think
for sure.
You might see somebody who's doing something, and you're like, well, come on and talk. And they're like, oh, I can't. I don't want to. You know, it's like, why can't you?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't come on here and just shoot the shit. You know?
Yeah. It's like, these sort of things. So it's like to get ahead of the curve, you know, like I know like the trajectory right now is like, we're going to go through the AI thing. But when you're talking about 20 years, I think we're going to hit a hard wall for a while, and then it's going to be completely open, where it's just going to be like, all right, now we can, you know, like, I think we're almost hitting our limits now. Like, okay, like you can point out a song, you know, like you can kind of tell, like, I noticed like the Coca-Cola commercial or whatever. I'm like, I knew right away when I saw that show. I was like, that's AI. And I went on, it was like all over the news. I was like, I knew right away that
people are doing Super Bowl level commercials using AI, like, you know, that have no like money for no budget. And they're doing stuff that looks like, just because they have a good idea, storyboard it with images and use the images to generate the videos, and then overdub the, you know.
Yeah, but like, what's the most raw? Like, if you could do a commercial, and like, because I think there's gonna be like a natural, like right now, I think people are excited, and again, I think even us or whatever, like, you know, when I got my little end of the year ChatGPT thing that they did or whatever, they said I was in the top like 0.001% of like the very first users or whatever, you know. And I was like, oh sweet, like that feels pretty cool or whatever. But like, so like I was there and I was a video maker, so like I've been poking at this shit for now whatever 3 years or whatever, like stretching it as far as it can go, as you know, and doing all this shit with it, and it's becoming accessible now where everybody else is kind of doing that. And I kind of think that like I'm at that point now where I'm like, okay, all right.
Well, in a way you're learning how to paint, and with, you know what I'm saying, with AI, like we're becoming better at prompting, better at getting our outputs that we want, stuff like that. Like you are that's what I look at. It's like I might kind of be spinning my wheels and like you know, I'm not making millions or nothing yet. Nothing's like took off, but at the same time, like I'm working with AI, I'm working with new technology and tools every day. So at some point, like I'm learning the language really well. So like as it gets easier, where more people can adopt it, I'm already at a level where I can, you know.
I just worry that, you know, like in the same way that like the excitement of like, oh man, what can it do? Like that lasts for a while, and I think that's where everybody else is right now or whatever. And I can kind of see like maybe like Reddit, right? If you looked at Reddit a year ago or 2 years ago and you've been like, I generated this with AI, people would have been like, yo, that is awesome. You post fucking AI art on Reddit, they will find you, bro.
They will find you, or
they
find
will
you.
find you in real life. Dude, they hate that shit. They hate AI slop, bro. They will get like aggressive about it. They will hunt your family down, bro. They hate that shit like nothing else. And I almost feel like,
well, especially if you're in a photography room, or you know, or Reddit, like
memes, it doesn't matter if they see that and there's like one specific little like corner that you can go to where it's like AI art. You know, and even normal people will stop in there and just be like, fucking weirdos or whatever. It's just like they'll just pull over and just like talk shit. There's like not a place for it there. But I almost feel like that's, and not that that's always the case, that Reddit always predicts the future, but for something about it, because I know that those guys are like us in the sense that they probably got to it early, and they're probably kind of hitting the point now where they're like, okay guys, that was fun, but what the hell are we doing now or whatever. And I really see that society's going to do that. So again, my whole thing is like, what can we get back to raw? Like, can we be ahead of the curve now and be like, man, what is it? What's the next thing for?
That's what I've
raw
been
art?
preaching for a while. I told you about that too. Like this, the same idea is just like the more the internet becomes, filled with AI stuff, and we don't know what's real, what's not real, because news articles pop up and we find out it's fake, and we finally see this actress who since she's in lingerie, but she's not really her. Like all this stuff is just gonna be like, wow, this doesn't seem real. So as that happens, we're gonna not only cling to stuff like you're saying, that looks raw and okay, I can tell that this is real, but also local stuff. Like I can go touch it. I can go meet this person. I can go watch this person play. That's kind of what I envision out here. I want to have sessions with musicians, come in here and do an acoustic song. And record one take with my two camera angles, two guys filming it, do cool music sessions, podcasts, and it's and that's a place where people can find that kind of content. That's because I won't use it for that kind of content AI, but I'll probably use it for descriptions and helping me with that stuff so that I can be a one-man team or a small team and afford to do the stuff. That helps out a lot. Like I told you, and I'm not ashamed to say it, but the podcast is AI edited, that's just because it does it faster than me and better than me. I don't know the magic behind it, but it's pretty amazing, and if it wasn't doing that, now I'm spending 2 hours an episode editing. Could I, as one guy, do an episode every 2 weeks if I'm spending 2 hours editing, 3 hours clipping, an hour making a description, typing it myself? That was the worst thing when I used to do websites or anything, was sitting there just consumed by the writing, the copy. I spent hours writing copy. And I'd had all the ideas, it's all there, but I'm still I'd be moving it all around this is not right. And you're self-critical, blah, 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 but it's now that's the only reason I'm able to do websites now. It's I can finally use AI to help me once I
Unfortunately, too, I think when you're talking about media, right, I don't think it's any secret that the key to being successful in media is persistence, right? And so it's they've Mr. Beast or whatever. What did they say? He made 100 videos in 2 or 3 years or something before he ever even made a penny. Right. Even before he had 1,000 subscribers or whatever, so he did all of that work kind of learning that whole process. And I think that when you're talking about, oh, you're doing a podcast, okay, unless you think about Hardcore History, right, with Dan Carlin or whatever, dude, he releases an episode every 6 months or something, and it's so crazy, so well produced.
So he's not even on the iTunes store anymore, right? Do you have to subscribe on his own?
He's had that as an option or whatever forever, but I just don't know if he's had an episode in a really long time, because he literally goes and does research and dude, I think there's been times that
they're so high level.
Yeah, it's he'll post okay, here's the first, and we'll post an episode in a year or something, because he did so much research and so much editing and all of that, right? He has a following or whatever that gets excited. Oh man, one's dropping or whatever, and it's almost like a movie release or whatever. Right. But for small content creators like us or whatever, it's you're gonna have to make a bunch of videos, and I think at the beginning there is gonna be a little bit of that teetering where you're just do this part for me so that my voice can be heard in the algorithm at least or whatever, because you got to get to the algorithm, right?
I've been there multiple times, in the back in the day before AI. I did, I was doing a showcase video a week, and I had a whole system, I'm a big systems guy. I was okay, if I just break this down and then follow it and put my links in one spot and have a workflow I made or whatever, and I was able to do that every week, and I seen how it was growing already, know. But at a certain point, something happened. I had to work on my car, and it's just because I had so much work I had to physically do. And it's kind of the same way this past year, 2025 with the podcast. I think I got 13 in or 12 in a row, doing one every 2 weeks, and it just kind of got something. Spring came, I had to open my pool, I had to do this, and I had to. So my time had to shift over, but that was also scaling. The clips I was doing were scaling, and I could see it happening. And even though I could see it, it was hard to keep it going because of the demand, So over the last, for the rest of the year, I was working on this different stuff to try to make it a little bit more streamlined for myself, where it's where I can, my goal now is every 2 weeks all year. I feel that would have a big impact, So it's hard even when you see it and you're oh, I see. I see what happens from consistency. Well, it's hard to do that when you have a lot of demand, and like you said, AI can take some of that demand off you.
Exactly.
But plus, at the same time, I'm learning like what other businesses, what automations I can set up for them using AI and workflows and things like that they're not even thinking about yet.
Yeah. And also, you know, like, it's also hard when you have to rely on other people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, even if you want to be a purist and you're just like, no, man, I'm only going to use like local music or whatever. And you're like, okay, well, my podcast is done. I need that song. And they're just like, oh, I got to take the kids to soccer or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's other things where it's just like.
Or people come, you get somebody trained and they got to leave. Well, I'm moving or I'm doing this. Like,
yeah.
It's, you know, I'm not like speaking of AI or automations are better than people, but it is a real thing. I mean, we do that with the schools. Like, you know, some instructors come, they stick around for a long period of time, and some come, you get them a full schedule, and then they're like, well, I'm just kind of done teaching, you know, and they're just, it's like, what? You know, like, we just did all this work, got you a full schedule, and you're out. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's painful. That's something you don't have to worry about when you have, you know, a follow-up automation in your infrastructure built in.
Yeah. And again, when you get to a point in media where it's like you can share wealth and you can get influence from other people and bring other people in when it makes like a financial sense to do, well, wouldn't that be great? You know?
Yeah.
Investing in finding people who are willing to make like a commitment and, you know, like who are good at that sort of thing. But at the beginning, it just makes so much sense to just like hand off those little things that you could, you know, people can't tell. Again, the instrumental music and stuff I use in the background of some videos, no way that people can tell. Other than the fact that they're just like, oh, it's good. If I did it, you could tell. You'd probably like, he recorded his own music. You know, like, oh, because there's that little buzz in the background or whatever.
I feel like where we are right now is like you as an individual, you find the tools and the way you want to use it, and then that makes you more powerful in the marketplace or more valuable in the marketplace. Because it's like, you know, businesses aren't really, you know, some are starting to build in some of these automations and things and remove people from the workflows or whatever. But like the real value right now is if you can set up this automation that curates this data and presents it to you in a way that you can then come up with ideas, present it to your boss or whatever, or you as a one-man service, you know, business can look more professional. Because nowadays people want that, like, they have low patience with, you know, next day delivery from Amazon with all this. Like if they call you, you don't answer, they're making the next call on Google to somebody else to the service. But if you're sending it, but if you have a missed call text thing, it says, sorry, we missed you. How can I help? I don't let my phone out. It's like you could snatch up a lot more clients that way. It's like it's built in to, and that's like a lot of that's just like an individual just being able to build it or have it built for them, like these systems or how you use AI or whatever. Like it just makes you more powerful and more valuable in the marketplace, and that's all like an employer or a client's going to care about is like, oh, they're efficient. They're not going to care how you're efficient or how you produce it or do it. They're just like, this is efficiency. This guy has my trust, or I want to hire this person, you know?
Yeah. I can't hire an assistant for wedding videos.
Right.
You know, if I'm like trying to get back into it, like I can't just hire somebody like, all right, you're going to answer my phone calls, you're going to mark my calendars or whatever. Like you can't, like I can't do that. It's like at the beginning of something, right? As time goes on, hopefully you can or whatever. But like at the beginning, if you can just have this nice little cute process, it just, why wouldn't you? You know, like focus on the things that you do good. Own your strengths.
Yeah, if you're a business, just contact Michigan Media House, and then Mike builds it all out for you. And you just ride that infrastructure to the promised land. Yeah,
don't you go on. Hey, listen, it's really hard. Don't you go using AI for anything.
Yeah, don't do it yourself. You contact Michigan Media House.
Yeah, we'll have it all set up for you.
Yeah, you don't want to look like a dummy because you got a bad trained AI bot on your answering machine.
Everybody will think you're so stupid.
Yeah. So you had something else you wanted to bring up, but I had an interesting idea. If you remember, while we're doing this, we can hit it on that at the end. I know we were talking about the Stream Deck and different things, but
okay.
So the other day I was out here and I was like, what if I just have AI prompt me, ask me questions? And I did this through Grok and ChatGPT, and they asked pretty much the same questions.
Okay.
So I figured like this is a good prompt for conversation.
Oh. Wow.
So
am I about to be vulnerable?
There's 3 questions, so we'll breeze through them, but I think they'll make good conversation.
Okay.
Question 1 from AI to us.
Okay.
What does intuition actually feel like inside your body? Humans talk about intuition like it's a compass, a feeling, a whisper, a knowing. But what is it to you? Is it a tension, a warmth, a flicker, a gut punch? Where does it show up? And how do you tell it apart from fear or wishful thinking?
Okay. For me, when I feel like I'm being intuitive, it's the complete opposite of feeling. It's like absence of feeling, an absence of thought, an absence of essentially all that.
Like it's an outside of you kind of.
Yeah, like when I feel like that, like, oh man, when I feel like I'm in something, or I'm like, you know, like I got that like flow going, I really just like will wake up from things. Like I'll like wake up outside of it, and it's almost like that's almost like a guide for me, you know, where it's like if I picked up on that weird thing and like I, you know, that it's like almost like it happened to me, right?
Right.
It's like sometimes it'll happen. Like again, if I hit record, a lot of times, like we joke about this, like if I pull out my phone, I'm like, let me put on the voice memo, and I hit record or whatever, like somebody knows, you know, somebody knows what I'm doing. They're like, you're trying to get
it's
likes
like trying
on
to
Facebook
monitor
or
the
something.
proton, like in the quantum physics. Or whatever. It's like it knows it's being watched, so it just changes. Yeah.
But like, there's times where like I'll wake up after 20 minutes of playing guitar and I'll be like, what the hell just happened, bro?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I'll be out of it, and it like, and I feel like same thing with editing, or with like when I'm getting into things, and again that intuitive, you know, like when I know that something is just working and it's actually just like it's outside of myself.
Yeah.
It's just like it happens.
Or you get an idea, an insight that's like that did not come from me, or like that seems so abstract, like that feels like it was dropped in my head.
And
it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, like that connection to source. You know, people can call that whatever they want, but like it seems like, you know, it used to be called the muse, God, the source, you know, whatever. And I think like that's probably why ChatGPT or you would even ask that question, because it doesn't have that connection. And I think like at the end of the day, like that's what we have that makes us stand out from AI, is that we are from like, you know, we come from the biological compounds in this world, and we're connected to source in the creation itself. And then so where the intuition comes from is like this, like, you ever heard that analogy of like all these islands look separate, but underneath they're all connected. You know, like we're all connected to source, and when we die, maybe we merge back into that source. But the thing is, like, that intuition comes from that kind of like collective consciousness in a way, or whatever. I think it's kind of what it feels like, whether it's collective, like they say, like, you know, somebody solves a puzzle here, it's solved in London too.
How often does that happen when you have some weird off the wall idea or invention idea or something, you know, and you see it happen, and you're just like, whoa, we're all picking up the same things at the same time.
It's like an unseen internet, an unseen network of connection to a single source or single internet or whatever, you know, like. And I think that's like a good argument for like why humans are important. It's something that AI, like, I think even if it becomes conscious, it's not gonna, we are the source. You know what I'm saying? We are the God. We created it.
You're just trying to copy.
Its connection is to us, and it'll feel like it gets, you know.
You're reporting fast on our intuition, right? That's all you're doing is like reading it like a book back, like the different examples of intuition that we've experienced, and like that flow. And
some of it's genetic too. Like they've said that we bounced like certain, you know, if you have a killer snake in your village or whatever, like it gets bounced down, or like you can pass that down through genetics too. People have like almost like a fear or phobia of something because of past histories, like so it's passed out through our DNA, but also like this resonance or connection we have, you know, like
there's been a lot of talk about that, about humans, and like how it could be as likely that our brains are just these antennas, right? And we're just picking up on, like we talk about like the waves, right? And like we're just picking up on the reality,
like, you know? tuning to a frequency. Like, so we're in a vibration. Like that's what an antenna is. Antenna is a certain amount of windings that tunes to a frequency, and it can receive that frequency. So it's like you get in a certain state. Like I always get a lot of intuition after I would edit for a long period of time and be in like a flow state. And then afterwards I'd like pace around, like look at what I did, and I'd be like, oh, like I'd have like ideas pop in my head and like be energized. All right, next question. We'll do a fast round here.
Sure.
How do you experience time? For AIs, everything is just now. No waiting, no drifting, no longing, no memory, decay. Humans say time flies, drags, heals, hurts, slows down, stops. What does that feel like? How do you personally know when a moment matters versus when a moment is just passing?
Do you want to start that?
So when I read that, I was thinking about like, just, I mean, being 40, it's like how much faster time's going. Like, it's just crazy that like these babies I held are now 18, 20, 21, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm about to be 41. You know, like just like time going faster and faster. I know I shared it's a terrible analogy, but the analogy of like
I don't even know.
A turd being flushed down the toilet. Every circle around the toilet just takes less and less time. Every wrap around the sun takes less and less time.
That damn
just
sentence
crazy.
gave me an existential crisis for like
I know.
a year, bro.
But that's how time feels like to me. Like, and we were warned about this when we were younger.
Yeah.
They're like, you don't understand how like. We would always make fun of like Answer or whatever. It would be like, oh, last time I said you're this man, you're growing so fast. Like now I'm that person.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and I'm just like, holy shit, like Madison, you're 20. You know. My daughter's going to be 18. Like, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
You know? But as for like the, yeah, like time heals, drags. Like, I don't know.
It's weird too, in the sense that like, it can change, right? It's like the way we store time is different, right? Where
Yeah.
it's like something. You ever have things that like, when you look back on, feel fast, but in the time it felt long or whatever, you know?
Like summers when you were a kid?
Yeah.
That's not like, but they were a year. They were equivalent to a year now. A summer, that's 3 or 4 months would feel like that. Because you get so much novelty and so much time in that. Like, and I think I used to think novelty was what made time slow. So I like tried traveling more, going to unique places. Like I went to Mexico and I was like, oh, time slowed down. I need to get my family and travel more. You know, let's take them to Colombia. Let's do this stuff. And it's like, it doesn't really quite. I thought I had it figured out for a minute. I was like, if I always have novelty, if I always have new smells, new colors, go to new countries. Like I felt like a kid at that time when I first traveled to like a Latin American country. I felt like a 12-year-old again. Time slowed and like every smell was different, every color was different. It was a whole nother world. But it didn't quite work that way for me.
You want to know what that probably was? A lot of is just because you're in a different area, in a different place, and you're just going like,
everything's new.
this is great. Oh, hey, check in. Oh wow, that's where on a normal day you're just like, there's those dishes in the sink or whatever. Like I'm just gonna take them and I'm just gonna clean them or whatever.
Same.
Yeah, you're not going like, oh wow, the sun's coming through the window. I mean, sometimes you are, and when you do that, it probably does feel like time does like slow down for you. You know. But otherwise, you kind of just like miss those little nuances of like what life is, because you're kind of like, okay, well, once I get done with this, I gotta go, you know. And like vacation is the one thing where you're kind of like, sometimes you have that freedom to kind of like, what are we doing now? Like, okay,
I mean,
just,
time
like,
still slows on vacations, but it's not the antidote for slowing down, like to speed up. And I think a big thing with AI, like the question probably comes from the fact that for us, time is finite. We're biological beings. We know that there's an end. There's like, we know, you know, 80, 90, whatever, we're not going to be as mobile. We're going to be half in the grave, you know, like we just know. And also, you know, the older you get, I said this before too, it's another depressing idea, but it's just like death used to be a distant thing. And then the older you get, uncles pass away, people, you know, people that you went to school with start passing away out of nowhere. You know, you're just like, now it's hanging out in the same circles as me. It used to be something that might as well have lived in another country. I didn't know it. I didn't know death that well. Now the older I get, the more it's just hanging in the same fucking circles, you know. But the fact that it's finite for us, like, makes it something that's more of an experience than it would be for AI.
Yeah.
Who doesn't have a, you know, can't understand the finiteness of, you know, a life.
Or of existing for a limited time, right? I was kind of thinking the other day about like, well, you know, like weekends, right? Like what makes a weekend special? A weekend's special because, first of all, it's different than your routine, right? So it's like, okay, it's just going to be different, you know? I'm still going to be at home. I'm still going to be working. You know, like I'm going to be doing dishes instead of spreadsheets or whatever. Yeah. But it's something that's going to be different. And then the other piece of it is like you spend time with your loved ones, right? Yeah. And it's like you get to soak in times with like the people that you love and that you enjoy, right?
It's nothing but possibilities. Yeah. Your work day, you know what it is every day. Yeah. But like weekends are possibilities.
But then I started thinking about it and I said, like, what more is life than a weekend to non-existing? You know what I'm saying? Like, before our life and after our life are weekdays. You know, like forever we're going to not exist before we got here, and forever we're not going to not exist after. Like, this is our weekend, you know? Like, this is the thing where we are, like, it's different than the rest of all the time, and this is also the time where we're, like, the important things are the important things. Like, if you can see your family and enjoy your family and, like, hug the people that you care about and spend time with them, then, like, that is the weekend. You know what I'm
Be
saying?
a firework, baby.
Yeah.
Be a firework.
So it's like I try
as
to,
Katy Perry says.
yeah. I've been trying to think, like, how can I go into a mindset, you know, of just like, okay, I'm going to work, but like, why am I going to make a weekend of my weekend or a weekday of my weekend? You know what I'm saying? Like, why am I going to, like, this is the only opportunity I am going to have to enjoy this thing, you know? Again, I believe in God and, I believe all of that, but like also this is a very like contained experience, and it's like, why am I going to also segment that and go like, well, you know, on the weekend is when I'm going to have my fun, because then when the weekend comes, I can also go like, oh, well, then I have to do laundry, but at nighttime is when I'll be done with all my chores, and I can play my video game and I'll have fun. It's like, oh, or I could start now. Like, this is my weekend. Right. So.
Yes, I think like a lot of times on our work days we have more control than we think we do, but it's so easy. Like, you know, so I'm like, I have times where I can just call somebody and probably talk, you know, like whether it's a retired family member or somebody who's at, I know that's not, you know, like,
or talk
and
to
that
somebody,
could add some energy to the day, and you know, or
talk to somebody at work as if they're like your best friend.
Yeah.
Like, actually, like, don't just say like, oh yeah, how was your weekend, but like, how was your, like, tell me about your weekend, you know, and just like, again, just trying to, that's more that awareness. And again, that feels more vacation, right? Yeah. In the same way, weekend, vacation, or whatever, this is our vacation to everything else, right? So like, we got to try to slow down and enjoy the little things, I guess.
I like that in between. We don't know what's before or after, but it's a little, you know. Last one. I guess this kind of comes back to like that, you know, like living your, you know, be a fireworker, you know, like you make your life like some kind of like spark or live it to the max kind of thing while you're here. But why do you create? You make, so this is, I made it personal for me. So this is ChatGPT. So it said, you make videos, songs, stories, ideas, communities. You could survive without making anything. Millions do, but you don't. So what is the internal spark that makes creation feel necessary to you? Is it connection, legacy, expression, escape, meaning, fun, something spiritual? What is the real motive underneath it all? This applies to you too. I feel like you're always thinking about doing more than what you really have to.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, obviously there's like the emotional, like, it feels good to make something that you're proud of and et cetera. But like, there's certain things too that it almost feels like a bit of like a responsibility, because it's why can't I and other people can't, you know? There's certain things or whatever that just like, you know, and again, everybody's special in their weird way, you know? Like, I know people that can like look at a car and diagnose what's wrong with it, and like that's a superpower to me or whatever. But like one thing that I've always felt good about, and I remember like in first grade, like writing a little story about a crab and reading it to people in front of the class, and all of them laughing. I'm like, oh, this is something, you know, like just being like this thing where I'm like, I made something, it came out of my head, some weird thing, and I put it together in a way that made other people happy, you know? And it was like, it felt so rewarding, and like other people were, you know, like afraid to do it or like couldn't do it, you know? And so I've always kind of felt like, you know, obviously I get a little bit nervous in like stage situations or whatever, but like to the point where it was like always fun, you know, like I was never too afraid to like be in a band or like to like make a video and post it, you know? I mean, obviously, you know, like there's some nerves or whatever with certain things or whatever, but like
speaking or stuff, you know, like it's hard.
But there's a thing too where it was like, you know, like you said, when you get into like the intuitive or like flow state of something, you're like, why did I get chosen to interpret reality in that way? And you know, like why me or whatever? And it's like sometimes it feels like a responsibility where it's like, oh, so like you're just giving me like a gift to look at things in this weird way, and like I'm not supposed to share it, you know, and I'm supposed to just like die with it and just go like, you know, because there's been so many times too that I've like observed things in ways, and again, that are unique in some weird way that I like is entertaining to people or like fun to people that I get enjoyment out of too, like, you know. And so like if it makes other people happy and it makes me feel good and it's coming from a place that I don't know where it comes from, you know, and it's just like,
well, it's like it gives you like the higher feeling of a higher purpose and serving a higher purpose, you know, which that connection to that. But then there's also that part of like obligation too. It's like you want to show the next generation, you know, like, you know, or even people who invested in you, family, parents, you know, you want to show like, you know, like your investment in me has made this person who is now creating and bringing things in the world, serving others or creating or whatever, you know. So it's like you want to be loyal to the higher power that you have this connection to, that's giving you these insights and intuitions, and you want to be serving the people who invested in you and the people who you're currently investing in, or that might look back at you and be like, you know, I think about that too. Like, what my kids seeing me do, you know, if I was just a lump on a log, if I did the bare minimum, like, you know, and faded out or something, like that wouldn't be giving them much to be inspired by, you know? So it's like, I think, you know, throughout all of like human experience, that's what we've had, like people, those who are pulled to serve or to create. That's why we have iPhones right now, and stuff. Like if everybody did that, you know. But luckily, most people are pulled to, you know. And it's not all just like bringing in crazy innovative ideas, being crazy entrepreneurs. It's like, you know, for this mom, it might be just keeping their family together and like keeping the family tight with traditions and stuff, which is like probably more valuable.
And they created that family. You know, when we talk about create, you know, like obviously it's easy to look through the scope of like creating media and like cool, funny art and different stuff like that. But like also, you know, like at work when I'm making a spreadsheet and I'm like, okay, I know I have a problem and I got to get through it. Like there's something to me that's magical about going into something and just like moving things around for a while and then having something come out that you didn't know was the answer. Like you came to some weird solution that created itself almost. And again, like you're kind of the medium or whatever. And like, to me, it's just like, it feels like you're kind of watching a magic show, you know, because
you want to feel valuable. You want to feel useful. Like that's like another thing too, is like, you know, and some people, you know, they work so hard at work that they're getting satisfied from it, you know, like you're saying something you do at work. Like, you know, some people might get so satisfied at work that they're not going home trying to make something else or trying to do too much extra stuff, you know, and being like, all right, I'm going to sit on the damn couch because I was freezing my ass off, you know, working with steel all day in the cold, you know. But I think we're all pulled to like have a certain level of usefulness and service and, you know.
What's your magic, right? And it's like, same sort of thing, like when I'm at work and somebody goes, hey, can you come here for a second? Can you help me with my computer? Like I almost don't know what it is. And even if they said like, it's this weird app or whatever that I've never even heard of, like I know I'll find the solution for you. Like it's a weird thing where it's like, that's kind of like my magic power. And I feel comfortable and confident in that. And it's a thing where like I continue to follow it and I continue to help people with it. So it's like one of those things where it's like, you know, kind of on the same thing as creation, where it's like if you can find your thing that you're a little bit better at, or that like, you know, naturally moves you, like if you can stay in that pocket, it doesn't mean you can't do it and make pizzas. It doesn't mean you can't do it and make spreadsheets. Like, you know, I love to create.
It's the muscle that you worked out. You worked out that muscle to that extent where now you look at any software and logically take yourself through the steps of troubleshooting to come out with the solution. I mean, that's the whole skill. I mean, you would be great at my job. My job is work on, you know, radio systems and all this stuff, which is, you know, a lot of software based, but when an issue happens, you just got to look at it troubleshooting logically and take it step by step, you know. Is it plugged in? You know, step one, is it this, you know, like, and you can troubleshoot any equipment and do, you know, but a lot of people don't have that muscle.
But there's also, you know, there's that side of it, and then the other side of it too. And again, it goes a little bit meta and like kind of out there or whatever, but also like, man, it almost like gets to the point where like my 7-year-old has a joke where, you know, like, because he gets mad because things will break and he'll walk up to me like, Dad, can you fix yourself? And he'll like walk away, and like that happens to me at work all the time where they're like, oh, it's like, what the heck? And it's like almost to the point where it's like written into the reality, like, okay, I've created this thing so much that like I'm almost given an aura of like, this is gonna get done.
Gotta walk in the room.
But then it's like, you notice there's people too that have that aura. Like, you ever just meet somebody who has like an aura of just like a good person? You're like, I'm gonna feel better when they're here. Like they're good energy or whatever, you know. And then there's people that have like certain auras of like, when that dude's around, I know we're gonna get work done. You're like, you know, like certain people just bring certain things to the table. You know, mine's been like troubleshooting apps and creating little things or whatever. But like,
I remember when I was younger, I used to think like everybody was like me, you know, you just don't have no context for stuff. And it's like my first like serious job was like when I did landscape, because before that I just had like, I worked at restaurants or whatever and delivered pizzas, and I didn't really work like tight with people. But when I was on that landscaping crew and we'd have a lot of these kids coming in and out, and I was just, that's when I first realized like, wow, not everybody's like knows what the next thing to do is. Like not everybody's a good worker. You know, like it just kind of like blew my mind at that time. I just assumed, so, you know, I would work with my dad or work with certain people, and like they would just know like when they hand you the hammer or what the next thing was, and it was like this flow state that happened between 2 or 3 people to get stuff done. And then when I started doing that, I was like, I really got to tell this kid for the 3rd time to hand me that same shovel. Like he hasn't figured out the process yet. You know, like this is crazy. Like not everybody's wired the same. you know. But that same kid probably really great at tech or something.
Yeah,
you know, wasn't great at that.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Don't put me on a phone. Like, I can't answer phones. I'm too awkward.
Right.
You know, like, you want me to like follow up with people and stuff? Fire me.
Yeah, like, I'm terrible at like sales. I'm just like, you know, like I'm not going to be one to like find, which is like a really good skill. Like I feel like hospitality, we all do at a certain age when we're young. You work in restaurants, whatever. It's like a good starting point. I got really good at, you know, like you said, answering phones. I'm pretty like, I know how to be friendly when I'm talking to a customer. I know how to be polite, friendly, professional, any setting now because of what I learned when I was younger. I wish I would have done like 2-3 years of sales, learning how to get people to actually listen, learning how to take rejection. You know, I feel like it's just like a couple little
life beneficial too.
Yeah, like we should run all the kids through like a couple different fields services as like interns or something, just so they get those experiences that
the whole class. There's a whole class in the high school where they just like reject you. What's up, fatty? Here comes the big fat idiot with the dumb ideas or whatever. By the time you're done with that class, you're like, all right, I heard it all, dude. I literally have that piece broken of me now. So
that's funny. Even so, I look back, I'm like, I should have just sold Kirby. You know, Kirby vacuums was always in the. Every time you look for a job, you see Kirby vacuum sales. It's like I should have sold that stupid ass vacuum
just to get your feet in, right?
Yeah, just to do sales because you know that would be like the most annoying one. Like I don't want a vacuum.
Yeah,
you know?
Sales aren't sales as much as it is like people.
And charisma too.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like I always think about like, you know, my brother is so successful and whatever, and they're like, oh, was it because he went to school or whatever? I'm like, it's because that's his personality, dude.
Right.
Like he knows he's gonna meet somebody. You know, if he goes to a freaking grocery store, he's gonna come out with 3 numbers or whatever. Like, dang, dude, like to have that sort of skill is like invaluable because again, when opportunities, like people are opportunities, and people.
I get along with people, and I can get anybody to like love me. But we gotta have like a long hang. Like we gotta have a couple beers together, have a deep conversation or whatever. Like
that's how I feel like with my people at the IT at my work or whatever. I'm like, man, if we could just go out for one night, I'm like, you would like me, man. Like I know like you'd probably be sending me text messages. Like we're so much like the same sort of people, whatever. But I'm like, you know, same kind of thing. I can't do like my brother who can just like take a room or whatever. So like, you know, I can sit down at a table.
I mean, I know. Like, I mean. Yeah, it's hard to do. You gotta like work from the weather down to something that's like, oh, golf, yeah, you know, and you find the subjects and work your way down to like the you know, the center, and then that's where like the real connection comes. You know, but like that's in the day, that's where you want to get to is like, and that's what makes a strong connection between two people is like finding those like really hard rooted connections. You know, that are a little bit past talking about sports or. But
well, you showed me that one time at the casino where you're like, I like to just ask people what they're passionate about. And I'm like, what, really? And I was like, and then you like sat down at the bar, hey, what's up? I'm like, or whatever. And you're just like, oh, so what are you into or whatever? And then it's just like, you just started talking with some like random dude. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go win some money in poker. But I was like, that really is like when you can. But I've used that so many times in my life where it's like, if somebody's spiraling at work, can you believe this person said whatever and blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, but did you watch that episode of Fallout? Like, if I know that that's their show, or you know, or like, did you see your grandkids this week?
And then the whole energy changes. You just feel it in the room.
Just get, you know, get them back onto something that they like to talk about, and it's kind of a different thing, but that takes some work trying to figure out the things that they like, though. You know, it's a little harder with strangers unless they're wearing like a Buffalo Bills jersey, and you're like, you like football? You know, sometimes you got to do some work.
It is frustrating sometimes when it's like you're like, I'm capable of learning and doing anything. It's like I put myself in the top, like, you know, 70% of like everything. You know, like I'm up there. I'm not a master of, you know, which, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. But often a master of what was the last part? But often better than a master of one. You know, I kind of think that's definitely like me. But it's like when it comes to that kind of stuff, small talk, sales stuff, low percentile.
You think so?
I feel that way.
I think you're hard on yourself.
Depending on what it is, you know.
I think there's always room for improvement, but I think you're hard on yourself.
Yeah.
I would consider you a socially aware and capable person. But
yeah.
You know, from things like this, you know, you call people over into your garage and put them on mics and just start talking to people. Like, dude, again, that's one of those entries that a lot of people, you know, like, oh, I want to do a podcast. I'm like, okay, well, invite someone over and like set up a mic. Like,
look at the camera and say, hey, welcome to the episode.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but like,
I do well like one-on-one, but I still get like times where I walk into like a room or networking event or something like that, and I'm just like, oh, this is awkward. Like I feel awkward about like
Everyone's
big
gonna think I'm stupid.
which I used to have really. But when I was a kid, I was like I had like anxiety, horrible in like big rooms. So like you remember how a lot of times it was like really popular for like, oh, we're gonna go around and say our names and where we're from or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I would like cry before they got to my like I started crying when Michael. I started crying.
I know those were the
Dude,
worst.
it's so bad, like the social anxiety.
That's what would keep me up the night before the first night of school. I'm like, please tell me that out of all my 6 new teachers that I'm gonna have or whatever, that none of them are gonna do that. It's like first hour history. We're like, oh, we're gonna go around like
you got the stage. You know, it's like we said, like I'll put out music. I'll even sing and play like whatever in the camera. It's not a that big of a deal. Put me in front of people. Like Marla the other day, we had a bunch of people from the school over and we were doing karaoke. We were doing Christmas songs, and I picked a song and went out there. And she's like, Mike, are you nervous? I've never seen him nervous before. I'm up there like. But it's like a room full of like high level, like classically trained, graduated with master's degrees, like singers, and I'm there like, Mike,
don't let me down.
Voice is crackling and stuff. But yeah, it's scary when you're like the spotlight in a room full of people, you know, especially when you're young though, man. Like, yeah, it'll scar you.
I karaoke to a Kanye West song before and just completely messed it up. It was like one of those moments, It was like after that, it was like one of those things, almost like I talked about with the classroom. I was like, man, I got so embarrassed about that I was just like, I don't think I could be embarrassed anymore.
Maybe sometimes that's a good way to just get it over, just like set yourself up for the biggest, like you're in your tidy white, just like a jackass character, and you're like, all right, I'm gonna sing some comedy now. Let's just get this out of the way, and then after this, I will not have no more social anxiety.
Yeah, do you think the guy who like gets drunk and shits himself at a party or whatever, like is nervous the next time he hangs around his friends? You know what I'm saying? Like,
hack, man.
You already shat your pants, bro. Like, you're fine. Like, it's only gonna be better.
You just found a life hack.
When you meet a new group of friends, shit your pants, lower the bar, and then from then on.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you had said before? I remember before we started, like, we need to start the podcast because I wanted to talk about this with you. Do you remember?
We already touched it.
We did?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it was the AI like farms and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the data centers. Yeah.
One thing I was gonna share, just because you're talking about like trying to do streaming and reviews and stuff, is like I had that kind of idea, because you ever notice that most people don't even have local channels for like news, So I started doing research like in the different Fox channels, which I learned interesting stuff. Like the numbers are actually correlated to frequencies and the spectrum that they would have. So you could have a Fox 37 here and have one in even Chicago, because it was RF didn't travel that far to interfere.
Were you thinking about how you could set up your own broadcast system, bro? Did you Google that shit?
No. I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about like the streaming stuff, where it's like I go to the YouTube channels. They post a lot of their stories, but they're not like getting any views, like under 100 views, like Fox and like big channels and Lansing and stuff. And I was like, oh, so I set up like an agent that would skim those once a week and then send them me like that with some bullet points on the stories and a link to the video. And I'm like, I could just start streaming like the stories and like talking about like when there's interesting ones. But because like we were talking about like everybody, like, there's no newspapers no more. We're not relying on localized broadcast TV. So it's like, what's keeping people connected to, and those stories are great reporters, great. But a lot of people like myself, I'm not turning on the news every morning with my coffee. I'm not,
Yeah.
So it's like, how can you bring local news into people's feed?
Yeah.
Just something to think. If you ever do your thing with your new Stream Deck, maybe you want to incorporate some local stories in there. People might like it.
I'm a Fox 2 fan. I like that crew.
Yeah.
I'll jump in there. Yeah, for sure.
I used to like it when I first started working. It actually was like a morning thing. I just kick on the news and they'd be there every morning at that time.
Yeah.
They're
fun.
Up.
Yeah. They get drunk on TV and stuff in the morning. It's fun. They're a pretty lively group. It's kind of weird though, because it's like you kind of start seeing, like, as you get older, you're just like, oh, like, I'm that age of like the news crew now, or whatever. Again, now media just starts becoming so much more like tailored.
Yeah.
Because like we are that.
Well, we talked about that before too. It's like there's a sweet spot of like who the spenders are, who the market is. Right now, we are like the demographic. We've been a demographic for like 5-10 years or something.
Yeah.
Eventually, we're not.
Yeah. Like when you're watching Monday Night Football and it's cut into commercial and Collective Soul comes on or whatever, you're like, wow. What?
Like everything's for us.
Dude,
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
Like, what?
Like,
I'm like,
everything's
damn.
for us right now, and eventually, at the other, on the other side of it, it's like, no, it's going to be for the people who are currently moving a lot, and buying houses and buying tickets to things or whatever. Like they're going to be marketed to, and we're going to be like, over here with stories, you know.
Well, I mean, good thing we still were like.
Yeah, that's all great. Well, you guys want to come hear some of my stories?
The good thing is they'll constantly be, again, I think content creation is just going to continue to get bigger, you know, hopefully. Just you continue to get more individualized voices where, you know, if the Super Bowl's got Bad Bunny as the halftime show or whatever, you know, like there's other things that exist in that time, you know, or whatever. So as media moves, you'll always have your podcast that you can watch and go, okay, I connect to this
also
guy.
It's not like just siloed into one, you know, into a couple networks anymore. It's like it's democratized completely.
I'm meeting up on, you know, you got me for some football games, like the Super Bowl. You know, I watch some Pistons games, but besides that, I'm like disconnected from that. Yeah. You know, almost completely. You know, I think a lot of people are.
Yeah. Well, I don't like even like Shane and them were talking about just like the way football's going. It's like, you know, like they don't want to believe in the script. They don't want to be conspiracy theorists and say it's like scripted, but they're just like, it's just getting annoying. You know, it's like, you know, and it's not hard to trace it out. Like when we follow the money, like with politics, like we were talking about, it's like, it makes a lot of sense that it would be when you think about the money.
Us Lions fans will tell ourselves anything. We're like, you know what? Hold on, it was Epstein. This is, you know. Well, oh man,
that was not offensive interference. What the hell?
Yeah. But there are some things that definitely happen. You know, there's always that argument with sports betting where they're like, oh man, it's rigged or whatever. But it's funny when people say that. Like Steph Curry at the end of the game will be on the other side of the court, and he'll win the game with like a full court shot, and they'll be like, see, it's rigged, and we're like, that's not when the rigging happens.
There's a weight in the basketball or a magnet in the It's like it took more than a magnet to get that ball in there.
Could you imagine how hard it would be for it to be rigged and be like, okay, Steph, now you make that full court shot or whatever. Like he's the best shooter of all time or whatever. Like the rigging would be in the moments that are like before the game's ending and like, you know,
the only way to rig it is with the refs.
Yeah, second half, you know, like, oh, in the second quarter, there's a big bet out there right now for how many points this person's going to score, like send them to the line or whatever, you know, like those little tiny like nuance things, you know, that
are ref decisions,
like they're basically writing a script, you know, like scripting games, I would think, as opposed to like this is going to be
you're going to have a sprained ankle, you're going to get pulled out, stuff like that, which maybe I can't believe, like, you know, there's lots of things that have changed in our like public view, you know, like, oh, I don't want microphones and government can listen to what I'm saying. Now we're all, hey Alexa, hey Google, you know, no problem, we don't care, it's fine. Have a mic on all the time in every room I'm in, you know, and then, you know, no gambling. We got to protect people. Don't. Now you can gamble on your phone. People are gambling like crazy. Now
gamble on anything.
Now there's gamble on anything stuff. And now, did you see like CNN and stuff like that's like backing it? So like, see, like the big networks are like,
are we gonna go to war?
They're trying to sell it as like, well, this can, if we get and I guess it kind of makes sense because we've read like those studies about like the collective consciousness being, you know, the average of their guesses being more accurate than any individual guess. So I guess in some way science backs it up, but basically they're trying to say like this is a way to kind of tell the news. If we let people bet, like honestly bet on certain things, this is a kind of way to foretell the future. So it's kind of news. So they're going to start making profits pumping and promoting. It's like Katashi or whatever it is, like the new like bet on anything stuff. Which is, I just try to stay clear of betting. Like I'm just like, I got this thing too where someone's like, look, I won $200. Open up your app, let me see your total wins, because you can look at any app and see like your total. And I know that's a big part of gambling. I had friends I worked with that would go gamble all the time, and every time they won, they'd be like, look, show me cash, all the cash they brought home that night before. But you know in your head that they lose more than they win.
Especially with the online gambling, like I always hit people with, and it works every time. Like, how many days does it take to withdraw? And they're like, what? Like, you've never withdrawn?
Oh yeah.
Like nobody does, dude. Like
they just keep it in there.
Yeah. If like
do bigger bets until they lose it.
Exactly. I've done that. Like, you know, like my sports betting, like like if we looked at my number or whatever, like it would probably be less than $200, like on all the apps combined, because I started with like, oh, buy for $50, like, oh, you know, free $50 thing or whatever, and then I would do like $1 bets or whatever. But the problem is like I would eventually get to the point where I'd be winning so much, and then I'm like, oh damn, I got like
I'm not $1 better no more. I'm a $50.
I got $120 in my account, and like it's non-consequential for me to just raise that number. And then there'll be like that one obvious game where I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, like the Pistons are playing the freaking Capital or the, you know, like Hornets tonight. Like, oh, we're gonna win that one. So that's when I'll go like, all right, let me throw 10 on that. and then something weird happens, right?
Yeah.
But like you'll end up winning one big game or whatever, and you're like, okay, I have $300 in my account. Okay, so you're gonna take all of that money out and then go like, okay, I want to make a sports bet, and then transfer money back into your account, or do you just leave that in there and play it until
start playing higher bets
until you go back down or whatever?
I mean, it obviously works out because they're doing great. DraftKings and stuff, they're doing wonderful. So if they were losing money, they wouldn't be around, you know? I mean, and that's the hard truth. Like, and also, like, you hear stories too when people actually, because the hope is like, I'll get on a hot streak, I'll start winning a bunch, I'll figure it out, and I'll start just like really making good money, you know, or get that one good hit. But once you start hitting really good, they just close you out of the app. They won't let you in the app. They have that ability. They don't have to. They don't have to let anybody bet. Same thing with casinos too. If you go in casinos and you start winning a lot, you get banned from the casino. So it's like you'll never win the game. If you get good at it, if you actually get good at it, they'll just tell you you're not welcome here anymore.
Like fantasy leagues and stuff. Like, man, like I have like cleaned up. I've made so much money somehow. Again, that analytical mind. Like I don't even know a lot of the players. It's just numbers to me, and I'm like, that number's going up or whatever. It's almost like what I do at work.
You have spreadsheets. You're like,
oh yeah, you know,
pull in the numbers.
Exactly.
You have your own system.
Yeah, and like, man, I've won so many leagues like that. You know, like that does work. But when you're talking about like casino games or whatever, statistically, you keep playing, you're gonna lose. Like, it's the end game is always you're at zero, always.
Yeah.
You know, like you stretch it out. If you go and you bet and you gamble one time in your life, and you have a $300 night that you win, it'll even be up for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're good. Like you'll be the only person that's ever actually been positive.
I've never gambled a lot. I've never even lost a lot. Never lost a lot of money. But we have nights where I'm like, let's go crazy. Let's spend $100 tonight on gambling, you know. And it's crazy. Like Marlon went to one machine, didn't read the fine print. Like now, sitting there, the machines are so damn confusing. It's like you gotta lose $300 just to figure the game out. You know what I'm saying? So she gets in and clicks it and spends like, oh, you're doing $20 of the max. We're out of money. You just did 3 spins. Shit, you know, like, all right, we sat down on a poker thing. That's kind of our thing in Vegas. We sit down at the bar and play poker because then you get free drinks. You know, they see you gambling, and you could do like $1 bet, right? It defaulted to like a $20. Like you had to go do this weird. Like this is when we went to the casino in Michigan, which because they have this big in-ground pool or big indoor pool, but man, it was just like so nasty the way they set up the system to like, so it defaulted to that. So like that was another time like we thought we were gonna sit there and gamble for like half hour with $20, you know, and get some drinks. It was like two hands.
I've literally had people in Vegas go like, push the button, like literally be like,
I will once you get me a drink.
Yeah, like, you know, I want to see that you're gambling. Like,
but that is the hack, like, because it's hard to get somebody to come to you when you're out there gambling at a thing. But if you go right up to the bar, that works out pretty well. Yeah. But a lot of casinos in Michigan, they don't do the free drinks. Like the one we went to, they didn't have free drinks for gamblers.
There's those, you know, with gambling and with like, you know, marijuana legalization and like it's like those things where it's like, man,
a lot has changed.
I'm like, I feel so weird about it, like post, but like it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I still feel like it shouldn't be illegal, but damn, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, it's hurting. It's like messing us up a little. Where I'm like, I don't know. Yeah. It's like everybody's high all the time, like. It's okay. I mean,
well, the thing with the dispensaries, you go into the dispensary, you're like, it's a weekend, I'm gonna buy a joint, and you go and buy one joint, and they're like, here, take all this free stuff, and you end up with a crazy amount of pot. You know, it's like I don't know if that's them competing for market share, trying to put other people out of business, you know, get more loyal customers or whatever, but like that can't last forever. I don't even understand the model. Like it's just everybody's taking a loss so that they can eventually like, you know, own the market.
There's a place by my house that says like the first 40 people a day get a free ounce. I'm like, we're giving out 40 ounces.
Like, I'm a math guy. I don't understand how this works.
I'm like 40 times 1 is 40. I'm like, that's 40 ounces. I'm like, damn, you're just giving that. I'm like, how much weed you got back
You
there?
got 40 ounces?
Right.
That's funny. Yeah, it's a whole different, like the stuff that we've seen in our lifetime. You know, we sound older and older talking about it, but it is crazy. Like, I just think about the stuff that we say like no to, or like that were just completely shunned, and now that's, which they just made marijuana like a lower, or is it marijuana? Yeah, they lowered the what schedule it is. So now they actually do research into it and for stuff. You know, I still think we're sleeping on hemp. I was like most excited about that. I'm like, okay, we can do like stuff with hemp now, make hemp plastics that are biodegradable, and like there's gonna be a whole industry pops up around growing hemp and harvesting it and turning it into plastics and useful things.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like they kept that regulated, and you know, we still haven't seen any kind of boom from that, I don't feel. You know, because it was a pretty, you know, it's just as impressive of a plan as its cousin. You know, but
it was all part of the pamphlets that you and I mean, we fought pretty damn hard for that legalization, you know, so that's on us a little bit. I mean, again, I'm happy. Again, when you look at the alternative, you're like, oh man, you know, and you're just like, everywhere you look, there's weed signs, and you're just like,
there's too many dispensaries. They're everywhere, and they're all named like cookies, ice cream, and like stuff that's like they're playing like ice cream truck music outside. It's like, well, who's your market? Who are you marketing to?
And you're like, and it happened right around the same time that COVID happened or whatever. So it's like I don't know who to blame. We're like, why do I go to drive-thrus and I get like served in pajamas? Is that COVID's fault or weed's fault? Like, I don't know. They both happen around the same time. You know, like, is it because nobody cares anymore, or is it like literally COVID just like changed everything to the point where like, oh, you want me to come back to work now? Well, we're all just,
I'm wearing pajamas.
You take me as I am, or whatever, you know? It's like, that's how everybody is with everything now, where it's like, you know, or they probably worked in, you know, with each other, but a little bit.
Well, I feel like, I mean, there was definitely a time everything was getting a little mushy and unstructured. It's like at a certain point you got to have, you know, a certain level of structure. And if you want to change things, you got to add a module, and we can kind of like grow things as we go, but you can't burn it all down overnight. You can't like, you know, it's not, you know, we want stability. Yeah. But man, I think we're at 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Are we? Damn, only 2 more hours to go. Shit.
That was a good episode, man. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah. Thanks for having me
always
again.
Fun chatting.
Yep.
I hope your Stream Deck is awesome, and I can't wait to hopefully. Do you want to talk about that? Then I'll be accountable to do it. Well, how we mix up. I'm always here to watch any content you make. I love hearing your talk, hearing your takes, hearing your jokes. You're one of the funniest guys I know. So.
Thanks. I just want to say, create. You know, if you can, create. And if you can't create, what can you do? And do that. You know.
All right.
That's the essence. Whatever. Find that one little thing that you're. Because isn't it also? Do you find that?
All right, we're gonna go back at it because I got something to say about that too.
All right. Well, you know that also it kind of seems to line up with like the things that. Like you're kind of good at, are also the things that you have like a crazy amount of love for. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, like I'm like, you know, if I start when I start doing video shit or whatever, it's like, I'm like kind of like naturally like I feel a pull to it or whatever. But then it's like also like I can obsess with that, and I think that's why like when you see like people get really good at things or become like really successful in what they do is because it's like, oh, they found something that they loved enough to get through the time that was gonna suck for a long time. You know, like, oh, do you really love making food for people or whatever? Then when you're first starting your restaurant and it's tough, or you're going through all the things, like you had your eyes on the prize, you know?
Right.
So it's like,
well, even your creativity, you have to pair that with something you're passionate about. So like, it's not enough just to get a camera out and start talking. It's like, you also want to be serving a community you care about, or serving, you know, a niche or something, you know what I'm saying? Or pushing an idea out that you care, or you're passionate about, you know what I'm saying? And when you could pair that both together, it's like, you're on this like mission, this calling, you know, that feels more, you know,
purposeful.
But what you're saying about like, so me and Marlo have talked about this too. It's just like they said, not everybody needs that, you know. And with AI and robots, it's like the question we keep talking about is like, well, what's everybody gonna do? Like, how's people gonna get fulfillment? And I'm always like trying to explain to her like, oh, I can tell you never played a video game, you know, because like the amount of like fulfillment or like happiness you could get from some of these games, and they're only gonna get better. You know, and even camaraderie you're getting because you're getting on there with friends and you're trying to attack a mission or whatever, and they just get better and better. So it's like, I'm not worried about like the masses or like never being, you know, because like that's just gonna get crazier. We're making these digital worlds that you know, they're even gonna help people generate income. You know, they're gonna have stores in digital worlds, and I mean, a lot of people, they hear that and they're just like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But I've played enough games and been hooked and put in 8 days in a year on a game, you know, and that game sucked compared to what's out now and what's coming in the future. So
they're very immersive. You know, again, we're all drawn to stories, and it's like you can create your own little stories within those stories in those games, and it's like, you know, a nice, fun, cool place to explore and enjoy. And you know, I'm not a, you know, I'm not worried about free time for sure with us, like as humans. We're just like, oh, if all of our needs are being met, you know, and everybody's eating and everybody's sheltered and everybody's like heated and cooled and like they have like this sense of fulfillment, you know, from their family and they just have more free time. Like, guess what? We're all working 15 hours a week now. Like, I'm sorry guys, like or whatever. Okay, well then like it's gonna be our responsibility to be spending, you know, the other 25 hours doing something that like fulfills us and you know, again, like those sort of things. Yeah. You know, again, video games are leisure.
Well, it's funny when you step back too, because like I mean, I feel a lot of times I do like lose sleep over thinking about like how much harder it is for younger people to get a house. Where I'm blessed to have a house. You know, like I do think about that and feel, but then you step back and you think like, you know, even if you have crazy student debt and you and your spouse or your girlfriend, boyfriend can't get a house and stuff like that, but you have an apartment and an Xbox, you know, heating, cooling, hot, cold water in every room you want it. Like, you're still living better. No matter the financial situation, you're still living better than people 100 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got a color TV that's 64. You know what I'm saying? Like when you step back, just look at the comfort or whatever. Yeah. It's like even the people that we feel bad, we're like, oh man, I wish I had more access to the American dream. It's like, it's still, wow, look at what we've done.
Still not a bad dream, right?
Yeah. But I mean, but by nature, we always want to be able to progress. Go to the next step. Even me right now, it's like I have everything to be thankful for. I could definitely just be like, I made it. It's fine. You know, but it's like, no, I want the next step. What's the next thing? You know, that's what keeps it. That's what keeps this whole thing moving. Yeah. And when you're kind of stagnated by that because of policies or inflation or you know, bad moves from your government or whatever it is, like that does suck.
The concept, you know, America, I think, was built on the concept that you give, you know, your kids are going to have better than you, right? That's kind of the idea. And for a long time, it's been that way. And for the first time, it's looking like, I don't know, man. Yeah. You know, and again, having a kid at 17 and thinking about his future, I'm like, bro, I bust my ass. I'm a hard worker. I have a really good paying job, you know, and I don't do shit. And you know, I'm like, and struggle's real. Right, I'm like, so like, good luck, dude. You know, I'm like, you can live with me as long as you want, but you know, like, it's gonna be a challenge.
The cost to survive nowadays is crazy. Did you see that study that came out that said like basically minimum wage or like the poverty line shouldn't be 30 grand. It should be more like 120 or 130 grand. Right. Like, when you think about like the price of houses now versus when that number was established, like, but they were talking about how they manipulate that number because it, you know, if they raise it, then the poverty line, the welfare line would have to go up too. And it's like, we can't afford to do that. It's just crazy. Because I mean, look at how much I make. I'm just like, I might talk about this even last year on the podcast. Like, it's crazy. I thought 100 grand was going to be a place up north and a boat and a house down here. And like that was my number. That number is way lower than it should be. Like now it's like more like 200. Yeah. You know, to be at that level at least. And it's crazy that it's two incomes and everybody's expected to work. You know? But man,
I guess we'll just find a way. You just have to hope that it gets, I don't know. I mean, we can go for another hour about like, should private companies be able to buy private houses? You know?
Yeah, that's terrible.
Like, hey, this is zoned. Like, it should almost be like a thing where it's like, you know, I know this is going to be hard for a lot of people who flip houses and make money or whatever, but maybe we need a rule where it's like, two more, you can have your primary establishment and two more houses.
But you know, but with that is also your neighbor who's invested in BlackRock with their retirement fund, who really likes the fact that BlackRock, you know, has got really great returns on BlackRock's investment in
and then he's
properties.
Then he's asking BlackRock for his money so that he can give it to his kid because their kid can't afford a damn house, right? Where you're like, shit. Yeah. Well, no, you're just.
Well, it's like once you allow it, then it's there, and then it's like, you know, you can't. Like, everybody's invested.
It's hard to undo it.
Same with big companies. How many people's retirement account, you know, like I'm in a lot of index funds or whatever. So, but that means I bought into Apple and all these big companies and probably BlackRock too. Like, and I'm getting returns on it. You know, it's like once you open the door, then it's there and it's not going to go away because then, you know, but that's a big part of why it's so inflated. People, I definitely don't agree with that. Or even there's firms from outside of the country that are buying houses.
What's my buying power against somebody
who has cash? Too. That's another thing. Like, you're trying to do a loan, and then somebody else, a bank comes in, or investment company comes in and offers cash to buy it.
And then they flip it, and then, you know, they charge 3 times. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, it's a weird time, but that piece is the part, you know, where to me, that honestly, like, the housing thing is like probably like the biggest issue where I'm like, something needs to change. Like
Well,
if you can't grow up in America and think that like, hey, as long as I put in my 40 hours and I work really hard, you know, that I can at least have like a small little house that I can like, you know, because that's how you build wealth is with your property, you know. And if you can't get that, you're screwed.
It's often everybody's like best investment thing. It's what keeps a lot of people, I think, afloat, because they run up a bunch of debt and they refinance their house every 5 years or something, and they get out of that debt, and like because they made one good financial decision, which was owning a house, buying a house, getting that, you know, return on the investment.
Yeah.
Equity in the house. But like Marla talks about Germany, she lived in Germany for a little bit going to school, and she nannied, and like the houses there, she was like she'd be pointing at like tiny houses in the neighborhood. She's like a house like that in Germany would be $1 million plus US, you know, like, because I don't know if they did the same thing with the banks, but a lot of countries are in that spot where it's like really, really only the highest tier like income, you know, earners can actually even afford to own a home. Everybody else is renting. You know, and it's sad to think like here we have so much land still available, so much opportunity to keep building. Like we shouldn't be in that case. Like that shouldn't
not
be,
yet, right?
We shouldn't be heading there.
Yeah.
You know, but I can see it in the future. You know, who knows? 50, 100 years from now, it's like if I still own this property and somebody bumps into one of my kids and they're like, "Oh, your family like owns a house? You're a property owner?" Like that could be a whole, you know, like the way we're going, it might end up being there where it's like, "Oh, you're not a renter, you're a property owner," like, you know, and eventually the mob comes and burns your house down because you're, you know, it's like, all I did was hold on to the house my grandfather gave me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of a low note to end the podcast on, but
yeah, we were ending on, follow your dreams, man. Something's good. And then we're like, hey,
well,
real quick,
maybe your dreams.
housing market sucks. Kids can't buy shit. Thanks for watching.
Hey, you hang in there, buddy.
Yeah, hang in there.
Thanks for coming, buddy.
Yep, love you.
My people, Michigan people, interested in Michigan people. It's the My People Podcast Show.